All right, boys. This is it. We are the FB and F podcast. That would be Farmer Brown and Friends. You guys are joining us. As you know, your fearless leader, Austin Brown, here with none other than the great and wise JMero.
Uh,
All right.
Happy to be here.
So we're gonna go through each team in this league. We're gonna go in draft order. Probably talk a little bit about what we saw, what we liked, what we didn't like. Maybe make fun of some people. We'll figure it out as we go.
Absolutely. All right, we are going to start off with Patrick.
Patty T.
All right, for Patrick. So, obviously, pick number one. I know we were at the draft, we were making fun of him a little bit. Was he going to fumble the bag? Was he going to pick Patrick Mahomes or not? It's good to hear that he did draft Patrick Mahomes. Was definitely a little bit worried there. You know, never know what's really going to happen with a new league and new members and all of that. So I
The
did hear
young bloods.
there was some conversation though. Ben was trying to steal this pick. I'm not sure exactly what that was looking like, but it didn't happen. So he did end up going with Patrick Mahomes, which is awesome. Hey, best quarterback that you can have in the league, hands down, and for 10 years down the road.
Yeah, I mean, with this pick, you're starting off with the opportunity to go either direction. You can win now, you can win later. He's young, he's diverse. It's really only him and Allen, in my opinion, that are that 101 option.
Wow, so that's interesting. I would agree with the Allen. Obviously, we'll get more into that a little bit down the road, but it's some surprisers. So obviously, the 102 and 103 was not Allen. So I'm sure we're going to be diving into that into a little bit. But off the rip, you see this team, it's awesome. Look at this: Eckler, Chubb, Hill, Devontae Adams, Waller, Metcalf, Aaron Jones, Mike Evans, Derek Carr. This is an automatic competing team. It's
Yeah, it hurts a little bit. It hurts to admit when the younger brothers got the edge.
Oh, he's got the edge. It's pretty incredible. And this is not even something if you were looking at this team, you wouldn't even tell that he traded away his second round pick.
Yeah, and you wouldn't even tell that he had gained a handful of picks throughout the
Yeah,
draft as well.
it's pretty incredible. Let's go look at that really quick. Let's see exactly what those trades were. All right, so second round pick, he traded away. And Frank Mastro drafted Brees Hall. It's honestly pretty phenomenal that he got all those returns, and then I believe he got a first round pick for next year and maybe a second, but we can go scroll and definitely figure that out right now.
Thank goodness you're on this podcast because you're just whizzing through the technical end of it. I'd be sitting here like an old man.
Look at this. So Pat traded away the 212 and he got a first, a third rounder, 11th rounder, and a seventh rounder. That's amazing. I love that. He is setting
Yeah,
up for success next year. A 24 first is incredible.
and I think that the big like getting comfortable with a move like this is that Patrick Mahomes first pick. Like
Yeah.
you're just so like we said, you have the ability to be young and play for later. You have the ability to be old and play now. And if you're gonna pick a player like Patrick Mahomes and looking at his team looks like a compete now team, you have the vulnerability to trade away your second pick. Frankie ends up taking Brees Hall. He's an obvious Jets fan. Brees Hall is an obvious stud. I wouldn't say it's a bad pick, but I do think, I mean, I can't really tell right now because Brees is, in this weird predicament, but I think I'm going to give the edge to Patrick on this trade just because of how his team ended up and what it means for his future.
Oh, absolutely. I would say so. The way I like to even like break down is like, all right, so you essentially traded Brees Hall for Austin Eckler, Joe Mixon, and Brian Robinson, essentially, which is not a bad return. I think obviously if you're taking away, well, and also a 24 first who is incredibly unknown right now, but just take those three players against Brees Hall. We have Brees Hall, probably a top five quarterback. I mean, quarterback, running back, maybe even top three, honestly. I know he has injury concerns and everything, but he balled out last season, and there's literally no denying that. Like just
He was he
looking
was a
at it,
breaker. He was a game breaker pace last year.
it was incredible. Look at when he was taking over 50% of the snaps, 15 plus every single time. Like that's incredible. You can't beat that. It's he's going to be a stud. It's going to take a couple weeks for him to be back to his studliness, I believe. Like I really do think that you're going to bring him back slowly, obviously with Davin Cook, but stud can't beat it.
Yeah,
But
and I don't even think Delvin Cook's that much of a threat. I really do think it's what you're saying. I think it's, you know, 2 to 3 weeks, maybe four at the most of just, hey, is his knee all right? And
100%.
I even think with that, it's still going to be a 60-40 split in Hall's favor. I really do.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I would say 60-40, but it's definitely going to be, I would say 60 is going to be more Cook in the first couple of weeks. You have to think by like week 5, 6, 7, it's going to be Brees Hall's backfield. I
Yeah,
think
and even when that shift happens, I don't even think it's going to be a 60-40 shift. I think it's going to be a 70-30 shift. I really I think they're bullish on Brees Hall, and I'm pretty positive um, this signing of Cook was more of an insurance policy for not only Brees but more Aaron, just trying to get as many wins in the early season as possible because they're just trying to get that ring this year or next year. They got a 2 year window to get it done. So spend all the money you can and try to get one. If you're lucky, try to get two.
100%. All right, moving on for Brees Hall in that trade. Let's talk a little bit about his running backs on this squad here. Austin Eckler and Nick Chubb. So I will be happy to admit, I think Nick Chubb is RB1 for this season. Guy's a stud, and I think this is going to be his year. Um, uh, I definitely regret not even drafting him, honestly. I've thought about this for a while, and I think Nick Chubb is going to continue showing his dominance. The Browns are supposed to be good. Deshaun Watson, big contract. So I'm definitely in favor of Nick Chubb leading this backfield. Eckler is going to do Eckler things. That Chargers offense obviously is going to be booming. So you can't really hate on this. Eckler and Chubb as his two starting running backs is it's top-notch stuff right there. Obviously very wood now. These are definitely older quarterbacks. Eckler is 28 and Nick Chubb is 27. So they're getting up there in age. So how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I definitely. I mean, listen, if I had these two, and then you even look down a little bit, you look at Aaron Jones. If I had these three running backs, I'm very confident. I really am. I'm not fearful of anything. If I had to be a stickler, you know, Chubb is not traditionally a pass catcher, but he's been able to get in the end zone frequently. But when you go to Aaron Jones and Eckler, they're both pass catchers. They're both going to get those extra PPR points. We are a PPR league, so I think it's a pretty stout running back room. You really can't even nitpick at it as much as I want to. As much as
No,
I want to bring Patrick down, it's just looking
no,
really tight.
you can't. And next we go down to Tyreek Hill and Devontae Adams as starting wide receivers. Literally ridiculous. Tyreek Hill going for 2,000 yards this year. He wants
Yeah.
that, and I think he's gonna get it. Why not? Why not? Who's
He's
stopping
got
him?
2 years on his contract. He says he's going to play his contract out. I mean,
Yeah, I believe he's
maybe
4 years.
maybe he'll retire that year. I guess that's been said as well. But if he still has the juice, I mean, he's a guy who seriously wants to break records.
He's
He
a
wants to be in Canton. He wants to have he wants to have a trophy, a statue. He's and you know what you could say that about Devontae too. They both want to be historical wide receivers, and they both have the athletic ability to do it. They're both getting up there in age. I
Yep.
don't predict this being a drop off year for either one of them. I mean, you're pulling it up right now. I actually thought Tyreek was 30, but he's 29. So, I mean, 28, 29, 30, people could say that they're starting to get worried. I really don't get worried till 31. I really don't get worried till 31, especially when you're an established person like this who's going really to Canton. Like they're both going to Canton. I don't think that either one of these guys are not going to be Hall of Famers at some point. If you mix in the flex positions, DK Metcalf's got some competition this year. He's I don't think he's gonna be a wide receiver two at minimum. At minimum. So he's gonna be a point scorer. Mike Evans, the fabled 1,000-yard receiver every single year of his career. He's got some he's got some beef with the organization right now in Tampa
Yeah,
Bay.
I heard about that. But honestly,
So
about Mike Evans, though, I'm not sure if you heard this stat, but apparently Baker Mayfield, obviously starting quarterback of the Bucks, he has the highest completion percentage for deep passes. And
yeah,
what does
he's a
Evans
downfield
do?
guy.
What does Mike Evans do? He catches deep passes. So maybe a little bit of a surprise here what Mike Evans is going to do for the squad. So I'm on the Mike Evans train. I think him and Baker are going to be perfectly fine. And I like the value. Like if Mike Evans is your flex, I love it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Um, I mean, let's roll back up from the flex positions. Waller has had a couple of rough years,
You have
and I think it was mostly injury. I think it was,
let's look at this right
uh,
here. Going from
yeah,
top three to the two, and then 17 to 31, essentially. So obviously, you just mentioned it right there, the injuries. Played nine
yeah,
games last year, 11 games the year after, the year previous of that. So, the numbers are down, but the hype is up. Everyone's saying
yeah,
this is going to be the Giants' target leader.
yeah. I mean, I don't know if you caught any Giants preseason games. I know you're a Jets fan, but that last preseason game, he was 3 for 3 for 30. Sorry, he was 3 for 4 for 30. And if he caught his downfield pass, he would have been 4 for 45 to 50. Um, Daniel Jones is obviously staring at him. Like it's amazing. And I don't think he lined up with his hand on the ground. I think I heard a stat on another podcast that I listened to that Darren Waller last season blocked on three of the pass plays he was involved in.
That's actually,
Three.
I did not know that, but
So he doesn't block. He's there to be a
they
receiver.
already
And I
passed.
think, yeah, I mean, it's unreal. It's unreal. And I think, you look at the Giants, you look at who they brought in, you got the Buffalo system, you got the Kansas City system. Tight ends are a factor in both. Dalton Kincaid just got brought on by the Buffalo Bills. I think he's going to be a big factor. We'll probably get to him at some point with someone's team. Um, but the idea is, if you have that elite pass catching tight end, just call him a tall wide receiver because they're not blocking and hitting the run game the way that they used to, 15, 20 years ago.
No,
Tight
100.
ends are a weapon. They are not blockers anymore. They are catchers. And I think that's exactly why they brought Waller here to New York Giants.
And if he can replicate this targets right here, targets and receptions, like when he
Oh
was
yeah.
TE 2-3, which can definitely happen. Like, who is the Giants go to? It would probably be Waller, honestly. So
Yeah,
I love it. I think Waller is definitely someone I'm targeting in redraft leagues. So why not have him in Dynasty, for a win?
absolutely. Especially in a win now window, right?
Exactly. One person that I know that you're not very fond of, obviously from our just previous conversations, is Derek Carr. You are
Mm-mm.
very much like you just think he's blah, and you brought up a very great point that he is probably better of a NFL quarterback than fantasy quarterback, and he has never really um been a quarterback one. And like look at this. So 20, 14, 12, which I technically is that quarterback one, 19, 20, 17, 14, 13, 17. Kind of shocking, honestly. Like Derek Carr's been in the league for a while, which is also just like, whoa, you know. And
Yeah,
what has he really done here? So something that you really did point it out to me, like he's getting some hype right now, but you pointed out that he really just doesn't score points like that. And it's something that when you said to me, I was like, you're not wrong. And I've definitely have been riding that train with you ever since that. Threw for 30 touchdowns, over 30 touchdowns once in his career. So I don't know. I mean, the Saints are the favorite to win a division here. So what are you thinking? You still standing on the mountain that you're standing on with Derek Carr?
on any other team, I'm standing on the mountain.
Okay.
But with Patrick's team, he just needs some guy who's going to be consistent, middle of the range, right? Because Patrick Mahomes is going to get all those other points. He's going to get all the excess points. right?
Yeah.
Even Mac Jones, like I really, really dislike Mac Jones, but they just released all their quarterbacks. They're clearly moving forward with Mac Jones, and between Mac Jones and Derek Carr, unfortunately, again, giving my little brother props, he's going to have consistency at the QB2 position. He's going to have consistency at the super flex. So as long as you're getting a quarterback who's scoring 17 plus points per game, Patrick Mahomes is going to be that guy that hits 24 some weeks, but then 35 or 40 other weeks. So if you're making up the point differentiation, I mean, it is the only weak spot on this team that I see. I can't really tear apart the flex. I can't tear apart the tight end. The running backs seem pretty stout. The wide receivers seem pretty stout. But when you look at the starting lineup, it is the only weak point on Patrick's team. But I'm not a Derek Carr believer. He always provides a good number one receiver. So I think Chris Olave is going to have a heck of a year. But he's really good for the teammates around him. But himself, he's not a huge fantasy point scorer. I mean, that could change. Maybe Chris Olave is just that much of a stud that like a Tyreek Hill for Tua can kind of just you can kind of ride the wave. But I'm not sure if that's going to happen for Carr. Again, Patrick's hoping for 17 points a game. If he can get that out of Derek Carr, then he's going to be just fine.
Yeah, I agree. I would say I agree with the whole Mac Jones situation. Definitely weird what's going on and the Patriots organization, but I don't really think he's a fantasy quarterback like that regardless. I would say just to talk about briefly and then let's move on to the next team here. Brian
Yeah,
Robinson,
why don't you? Yeah, why don't you
Courtland
just hit some
Sutton.
names? Hit some names that you
Yeah,
like.
yeah.
Go ahead.
Brian Robinson, starting running back for the Commanders. Awesome. Courtland Sutton, let's see what's really going to happen with that situation. Obviously, Jerry G is a little banged up, and Courtland Sutton has been, he has put up a respectable season in 2019, essentially. But ever since then, where are we doing? 776 yards in 2021, 829 in 2022, but the targets are a little bit there. You definitely want those targets to be reaching more towards like the 120s, the 140s, but I don't know. We'll see. Russell Wilson's supposed to have a comeback year. I don't really know how that's going to happen. Isaiah Hodgins, as a fellow Giants fan over there, I'm sure you're pretty excited about him. He blew up last season towards the end of the season and was honestly a league winner. I do want to say sleeper. I love Juwan Johnson as a tight end sleeper. Can't
Oh
beat
yeah.
that. I think he is going to be a really good, well, not a really good tight end, but he's definitely going to be placed in that like top 10 tight end. I wouldn't be surprised at all. Besides that, we just have some other names here. Nothing really too crazy, but Pat definitely has some people you can put in his flex. So those bye weeks do creep up on people, and he'll have people to place in them essentially.
Yeah, some really deep sleepers. All those names that you hit, I agree with all those points. Some really deep sleepers would include for me Kendre Miller, Jaden Reed, and Joshua Palmer. Kendre Miller has an opportunity if this is the time that Alvin Kamara falls off. He's got the 4 game suspension. He's getting up there in age. Last year, his efficiency really dropped off. This could be the guy. I mean, I wasn't the most massive Kendre Miller fan. I mean, there was just such a good running back class in general, but he had his moments, and he's on a team that wants to throw the ball to the running back, so it's upside. Jaden Reed, we don't know what's going to happen with this Packers offense. We don't know who's going to stand out. I mean, obviously, everyone wants to think about Christian Watson. Who was the late round pick there? Who started to Dobbs? His name
Yeah,
Dobbs.
or no Dobbs.
Dobbs. So Romeo Dobbs kind of started to stand out, but Reed was a pretty high draft pick. I mean, I didn't see the Green Bay Packers doing that, and that might have. I haven't felt like it was a spite pick, because they're letting go of Aaron Rodgers. Like, oh yeah, we'll grab a second round wide receiver for you. So it's just
No, I agree.
that whole situation's unreal.
I'm definitely a Jaden Reed guy. In a couple of my dynasty leagues, I was looking to grab him. It was him and Marvin Mims, which are my second round targets, honestly. So,
Yeah.
I like him. Kendre Miller, a little bit too much for me, honestly. He was getting drafted towards like the end of the first round, and I just had other people that I honestly would rather have. So I'm good on Kendrick Miller. But hey, that doesn't mean that things can't work out for him. It's just someone that I am not necessarily going out of my way to draft.
Yeah, have you heard this about Quentin Johnson?
What about Quentin Johnson?
That he's like the number four. Like Joshua Palmer is the number three.
Yes. So, I never been a big Quentin Johnson individual, but all that depth talk is like, I don't know. Honestly, all BS to me right now. I can't wait until week one starts to happen. We start getting some weeks on their belt. Then we're really going to be seeing where these people are going to be placed. But Joshua Palmer is a respectful wide receiver. I have him in my other dynasty league, and he's there. He puts up points. It's not someone that you can always depend on every single week, but he definitely is someone that is going to put some pressure on Quentin Johnson to step up a little bit, be that number one round wide receiver that he can be. So going to be interesting to see what happens there. But Herbert has weapons, and that's, I think, what we're kind of even trying to say right there. We have 4 wide receivers that we're naming that could possibly put some fantasy points up. So that's good to hear. And he has Eckler, so you really can't beat that. All right, let's move on to pick 2 here a little bit. Spent some time there on Patrick's team. Patrick, you're good to go. Great team, bud. You seriously did a good job.
Freaking punk.
All right, so let's move on to pick number 2 with Noah. So we kind of started this conversation at the beginning of going through Pat's team, but pick number 2 was Joe Burrow. You said this like I would only really consider Josh Allen, but Noah went Joe Burrow, which is not the most shocking thing in the world. Joe Burrow, obviously very respectable, top 5 quarterback. But I want to hear more about your thoughts on the Joe Burrow pick there.
I mean, it's understandable. You look at names like Joe Burrow, you look at names like um, Herbert. If someone really wants to get, in my opinion, gets a little bit of a reach, but if someone really wanted to, you could say Lamar Jackson. Um, but these guys are quality quarterbacks. Like I don't want to take anything away from them, and especially when you bring the running game into the picture. You talk about the Ravens and all that they've done with Lamar. Um,
That's kind of shocking. I was not expecting to see that 5 rushing touchdowns.
yeah,
Interesting.
what for Burrow?
Yeah.
I
That's
know. So the touchdowns obviously make a
oh,
big difference. I've just noticed about pocket packet passers, it cannot be something that you rely on.
oh no way.
You just
These are
can't.
bonus points. These
So
are
like so like you in my mind, you look at the 3, you look at the 2 for the rushing touchdowns, the 2 previous years. I'm leaning towards that. So I'm immediately taking, 6, 12, 18 points off of Joe Burrow's total for next year. I'm doing 3 times 6, 5 minus 3 to get to 2 touchdowns rushing. And that's where I feel more comfortable predicting.
100%.
So listen,
I'm
it's not a,
at
it's not a,
5.
it's not a bad pick. I see. I mean, if you go to Burrow's passing touchdowns in 2022, and then if we were to jump over to Josh Allen's passing touchdowns in 2022, I don't think they're that far off. And then you add the rushing, and it's like for me, it's a no-brainer. For me,
Look
it's
at
a
that.
no-brainer.
All green. That's what you want to see. Green, green, green.
Look, and you got 8, 9, 8, 6, 7. That's consistent touchdown production. Consistent. So again, Burrow's not a bad pick. And he's younger. He's gonna have a little bit of a longer career than Josh. And the other point is, if you have a rushing quarterback, I like pairing a rushing quarterback with pocket passer because it's a little bit volatile to have 2 rushers and then am I going to get double injuries? Because Lamar's history is injury. That's why I'm a little bit like iffy on Lamar.
Yeah, no,
But
I
I
would
just
agree with you.
can't. Yeah, I can't pass on Josh at number 2. I'm not a hater on the pick. There's just so much more points. I mean, how old is Josh? Is he 27, 28,
27.
27? So it's got 1 year on Burrow. 1 year.
No, I agree. Obviously, you're always looking for that rushing upside with fantasy. So I agree. Josh Allen definitely should have been the pick, but Joe Burrow's a stud. So I have a water bet league with a couple of my friends, and I actually picked Joe Burrow to win MVP this season and Jamar Chase to win Offensive Player of the Year. So I mean, I'm super high on them. Great team.
In on the Bengals, huh?
Yeah, I think they're gonna do it, you know. I think Jamar Chase is a stud. Um, I think he is going to overtake Justin Jefferson and like that number one wide receiver talk a year from now, but that's a conversation for a little bit down the road a little bit here. But I like Joe Burrow. I think he's a beast, but I think for fantasy reasons, I would push him a little bit down my list for a little bit here. All right. Next, we have he drafted. Well, let's just look at the squad right here. Running backs right now, we have Travis Etienne, James Cook. Those seem to be his top two. Let's see some running back depth. Doesn't look like there's much. Maybe Zach Moss come week 3, but I don't know if
I'll give him a little
anyone.
bit credit for drafting McKinnon. I think McKinnon is a big sleeper right now. I
McKinnon is
think
there. There you go. Okay.
yeah, I'll give him credit for that because, he's the old dog. No one wants to give him any credit, but he was a point scorer last year. He's a really good flex option. If in the
Okay.
beginning of the year McKinnon, solidifies a role, then he's going to be good for you all year. You got to be careful with that though, because if he doesn't do something within the first 4 or 5 weeks, it might be his time to move on. Because I know everyone, is calling Clyde Edwards-Helaire a bust. Here's the deal: like as an NFL player, he still does produce. We get mad at him because of fantasy, but Clyde Edwards-Helaire is a good football player. He's just not flashy for fantasy. So
So
either McKinnon has that role or they're phasing him out and letting, Clyde take on over.
yeah, but there's also Isaiah Pacheco. That guy
Yeah,
runs.
I'm talking
That
more
guy.
about like the pass catcher.
Okay.
Like
Okay. Okay.
Pacheco is the runner.
He is a
He's the
pure runner.
nail.
Pure
Yeah,
runner.
he's the nail.
The amount of heart that guy runs with is incredible. Seeing him on the screen is he has it.
Are
And
you? Are you?
yeah, he wants to be there. He wants to be there. I definitely want to get some of your thoughts about Travis Etienne. I will
I
say,
hate him.
yeah, you do hate him. Is that true? I'm definitely gonna say I'm definitely a little biased here. I have him in a couple weeks, and I don't know how I feel about him. He is. I'm definitely happy they brought in Bigsby. They definitely needed to lessen his workload a little bit here. He was getting too many touches, which is like a crazy thing to say because you want your running backs to get volume, but I think he was getting too much. They need to give him a break sometimes. He is someone who wants to put on the Jets. He needs a rest, and he's going to be rushing for these 60-yard touchdowns that we're looking for him to do. He was profiled as like a receiving back, but I don't really believe Travis Etienne is that receiving back model that you're really looking for. He's definitely going to get some receptions, honestly, throughout the game, but I don't think he is going to be like this Austin Eckler type of, hey, we're just going to keep throwing him the ball. And I just don't think that's something that Jags want to do overall. But thoughts about Etienne? I don't know. Right now, if you were to look up dynasty rankings, he's a top 10 running back. Um, uh, I don't know. I don't know. I'm biased once
if
again,
he
so I want to hear your thoughts here.
yeah, if he makes it into the top, if he makes it into RB1 category, he's going to be number 12. All right. That's what's going to happen. That's how I really feel about it. You look at his points from last year. He has 3 games over 20 points. Sorry, four. Sorry, 3 games over 20, 4 games over 15. All right. Other than that, massively inconsistent.
I agree, and
Right. I can't be going 8, 10, 3. Not okay. I can't be going 26, 10, 0 after a bye week. I mean, obviously, there looks like there might have been an injury there. The snap percentage is low, so I'll push that one out. He gets back from injury 7. Maybe he's still dealing with it. Maybe he's still dealing with it even 2 weeks later. 3 points, 12, 14, 24. Here's my deal. He's a good athlete, right? I'm not taking away the football ability. I think it's really hard to separate fantasy from football. He's a good football player. He's not a team's workhorse.
that's
And
what
like you're saying, he
I was
might
kind of
not
saying.
be a
Yeah, like
team's prototypical pass catcher. He's in this weird spot. He's explosive. You want him to be on the field as a team. But I think Tanks Bigsby is going to eat so much of his work.
you
I
think.
think third and short, fourth and short, goal line is all Bigsby. And if it's not Bigsby, then it's going to be a spread situation where ETN is one of the 5 or 4 pass options. So maybe he's going to get that pass work near the goal line. But Evan Ingram, right? Calvin Ridley, Christian Kirk. I'm putting he's throwing the ball to these three guys before he's throwing ETN, unless if it's a literal scripted running back play. So I'd be a liar if I said I would never draft ETN. I would, but it would have to be the craziest of value. He's got ETN here at 411. I'm I'm not touching ETN until late fifth, sixth round. If he doesn't
Or
drop that far, I don't want him.
okay, so let's talk about some people he was drafted around. So Ramondre Stevenson, Nick Chubb, Tully Pollard, Damian Pierce, Derrick Henry. What are your thoughts on this? I
So
would
if
go ahead.
so when I look at his team, I feel like I have to classify it as a win now. I mean, he has young players, but he's got like too many old players to be a builder. I mean, he's got Addison, he's got Pickens.
Waddle
You
as
could say
well, super young. I don't know.
Waddle.
I think this
I
is
mean,
a
you see
good.
Hopkins, you see Kittle,
Yeah.
and then when you look at the bench, the running backs are old. I mean, I guess you could say Zach Moss, but I don't think he's going to do anything in Indy, honestly.
He doesn't really have too many flex players as well. Like you're going down this bench, there's really nobody that is truly catching my eye. I would say DJ Chark, maybe a little bit of a sleeper there. DJ Chark always
Like
puts up points, but
Sky Moore,
Sky
DJ
Moore,
Chark,
Sky Moore is definitely not a bad
Darius
option.
Slayton is an iffy. Like he either is the guy, the wide receiver one there, or he's not. So you have like three names where maybe you can throw it into your flex. So though his team is relatively young, I just don't see enough depth to be a young punt it for next year, punt it for the year after. So I think he's trying to win now. If he's not, then he's moving pieces sooner rather than later to become younger
Yeah.
and more established. With that all being said,
What is being said here?
I'm taking Chubb. I'm taking Chubb,
I would
right?
agree. Like I said before, I look at this. I mean, to go to draft board a little bit, I drafted Ramondre Stevenson over Nick Chubb. I don't know what I was doing. I don't know. Maybe I was playing too much cornhole, wasn't thinking, but crazy. I don't know what we are thinking there. It's okay, but we'll get over it. But I
Yeah.
agree. I mean, I think I like Nick Chubb over Travis Etienne. I think so a really big comparison obviously is Travis Etienne versus Kenneth Walker. What is your direction?
Travis Etienne versus Kenneth Walker. I think that's fair.
And
I think
where's
I'm going to give the
Walker?
edge to Walker because he's already done it like really well. I mean, ETN scored points, sure. ETN has shown flashes, sure. But Walker was the bell cow. Now everyone's going to say, whoa, whoa, whoa. They just drafted a running back. What are you doing with Charbonnet? Normally, teams will draft a rookie when they have a vet, and that rookie will start eating away at the vet's work. They got two young bucks back to back. The way I see it is Pete Carroll loves running backs. He loves young running backs, and all of his running backs die. They just always get hurt. They just always get hurt. So he's like, I don't care. I want two so that when one gets hurt, the other one can pick up the load. So I think it's Kenneth Walker's job. I think Charbonnet, because he was a high draft capital, will take some away. But I even think the small amount that Charbonnet is going to take away from Walker, Walker will still beat out ETN by the end of the year. I
That's
I bet I bet Walker is a higher running back at the end of the year in terms of points scored than Travis Etienne. I think Walker ends up at 11 or 10 or 9 and Etienne is at 12, 13, 14.
interesting. I'm sure we're gonna dive into Walker a little bit more when we get to I think he's on Mike Master's team. So I definitely have some thoughts about Kenneth Walker that I will save until then. But move down a little bit here. So I will say obviously next who he has here, Jalen Waddle, awesome. I think he's a great receiver, and he has the Tua stack, the Tua and Jalen Waddle stack, which I'm a fan of
That's a good
stacks.
stack.
I think it's amazing. I think it's a great way to get a lot of points. You know, when your receiver gets a touchdown, guess who threw that touchdown? most likely the quarterback on that team. So always a big fan of that. We didn't really talk about James Cook above there.
I don't have much to say. He's a bum.
You think James Cook is a bum?
You like him. I know you like him,
I
but I
think
think he's
I
a
think
bum.
I think he's RB1, and the preseason definitely showcased that he is gonna be the main running back on this team. I know Damian Harris took away a touchdown from him the last preseason game. And that's gonna happen, you know. I don't want James Cook to get all the touchdowns. I'm sure Josh Allen's gonna steal a couple, but I think he is gonna be a good top 24 running back. I think
What
that's
what
his rainbow,
is what is the ceiling
the ceiling.
for any Buffalo running back?
Then this is always, and this is the talk, you know. Obviously, I know me and you are definitely very big into the dynasty space here, and people are always talking about Buffalo running backs, and they have that stigma. But when's the last time truly um, a running back from the Bills has gotten this hype, though?
I just don't think a 190-pound running back can do what needs to be done.
But
They want to be
he
this, they
doesn't
want to
have
be
to do
this,
much, though. Let's
they
look at
want to throw the ball downfield and they want to jam it down your throat with the giant quarterback that they have. If they had a beast of a running back, then I can see it. I can see it.
look
But they're
at
not going to,
look at Devin Singletary right here. You're telling
yeah,
me
but
you can't do what Devin Singletary did?
yeah, maybe in 2019 and
20,
2020.
20, a 23 in PPR. These
Look
yards,
at look at
reception.
the
What
just
do we?
go to Devin Singletary's highest year, 198 points. Click on that year, extrapolate it. Go to game log, extrapolate the 2021 season.
All right, well, here we are.
All right. 18,
I think I
14,
want to
16,
look
18,
more.
20. All right. So he
I want
had
to look at
two
the attempts
games at
here.
the very end of the year that he popped off. Were they even competing? Were those garbage time points? Like this
Well,
Buffalo team has a recipe, and the recipe is Diggs when we need to go deep, Gabe Davis every now and then just to make some people smile because they're staring at Diggs, and then Allen on the goal line.
okay, but
That's their recipe.
we have all right. That's a recipe, but we also
Guys,
need
we're getting in it right now.
you have
Mero
to
loves
you
cooks.
have to you have to include the running game. I'm saying if Devin Singletary can pull this off, James Cook is going to smash him right here. I'm saying top 24. You know, I'm not
Was
going to
Singletary on Buffalo last year?
Singletary was on Buffalo last year. That is correct. So that's what I'm saying.
Uh,
You know, people are just writing him off. But hey, I think he's going to be a good running back too. And
he's got upside. I'll
that's
give
all I
you the
got to
fact that he's
say.
got
The
upside, but
upside is a good word.
I'm here.
All right, next here. That's not who we wanted right there. We talked a little bit about Jalen Waddle. I think he's a stud. He's going to be good to go. There's really no beating that stack. I love Jordan Addison. I think he is my favorite rookie coming out of this class. I know obviously we have JSN that we need to be talking about there as well, but I think Jordan Addison is really going to be getting these points this season. He's obviously across Justin Jefferson. He's never going to be that wide receiver one that you're looking for on a team where I feel like JSN obviously will be probably one day, but you can't hate on Jordan Addison. I think he is going to be a contributor. Um, like probably like around, I would say like not this season, but in future seasons, he's definitely looking at like a top 15, top 12 finish. I don't know if he'll ever finish above like a top 10, honestly, but Devontae Smith has done it. Which I know we can't really compare those two right there, but you know, we were always talking about these wide receiver twos. So Devontae Smith, T. Higgins,
Waddle.
Waddle, exactly. So I don't know. You know, and Waddle finished what? What did he finish last season? Top eight.
Yeah, he's
Top
great.
eight. So,
He's amazing.
you know, I'm about Jordan Addison. I think he
I'm
it takes
yeah, I'm on the same page. I like JSN more.
because of the
Jordan
upside.
Addison Jordan Addison is my bet for rookie of the year.
Rookie of the year. Okay.
He's going to see so many targets in that Vikings offense. I don't think the Viking I know everyone likes Alexander Madison this year. I don't. I think it's going to be a pure pass game. I think they're going to say, "Kirk, this is your last shot." throw the heck out of it. And if you can't get us deeper in the playoffs, aka, to the championship slash Super Bowl, then we're done. The
Oh,
marriage
you
is
mean
over.
like win a playoff game? You know who
Yeah.
you know
I
who
mean, I don't mean win a
disappointed.
playoff game. I mean win two. And if he doesn't get them to the NFC Championship slash Super Bowl, one of those two things, he's done. And I don't think Kirk is done. I just think the Vikings will move on from him.
Well, I don't know if you saw that show Quarterback on
Oh,
Netflix
of course
by
I
any
did. It was
chance.
amazing. It was
Oh,
amazing.
but so that makes me think like maybe Kirk's gonna stick around a little longer. He has that relationship with Kevin O'Connell that I didn't know existed. They seem like they're friends, and they're working with each other. This is only year two with them together, and year one was a huge success. So why not keep the train rolling? But I do agree with you. Obviously, it was a huge letdown. They lost in the playoffs to the Giants. And the Giants were really slept on. No one really thought the Giants had an opportunity to win that game, and they did. So,
Yeah,
but
they did.
I agree with you the Jordan Addison thing. If you like real quickly, just to kind of like talk about like some missing targets here. You
I
want
think he's gonna be I
you
think he's
want to
gonna be
project
like a Jacoby Myers. I think he's gonna be like a 170, 190 point scorer as a rookie, and people are gonna go absolutely crazy about him.
look at the amount of targets Thielen had last season.
Yeah.
107. That's got to go somewhere.
Imagine that with someone who still had legs.
Wow, the Adam Thielen roast right
And
now.
I love Adam Thielen. It's time, buddy. It's time.
All right. Moving on to the rest of Noah's team here. Let's get into this. George Kittle, a big. This is a polarizing player right now,
I
especially
freaking hate
like the
talking about George Kittle.
in the redraft space here. Um, uh, people think this is the year. He's finally gonna kind of like go away. Um, I can't say I'm not drafting George Kittle anywhere. I really don't want him. His value is just way too well, not his value. I would say the spot where
It's
he's going
price.
is way too pricey for me. Exactly.
Yeah.
I would rather much wait a round or two for someone else, essentially. So I'm not a big George Kittle supporter, but he puts up points all the time. I don't know. I'm just not a train that I'm willing to get on. I think I'm okay on the George Kittle hype. I would say probably who does Noah has as a backup tight end though? It doesn't really seem like too much. Mike Kaziski, maybe kind of a sleeper for the Pats. Um, uh, I know he's kind of been talked about, but that's basically it. So he really is going in on Kittle. You look at these numbers.
Yeah.
T3 last season, four prior to that. He got injured and then 2-3. But look at these targets. They went down. Not good. It is going in the wrong direction, essentially. So we'll see. Obviously the tight end landscape isn't anything that is too competitive. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's like a top 12 tight end, but you really are drafting him for that high ceiling. I just don't I think
Yeah.
he's going to be running with the middle of the pack of everybody, to be honest. And
When did Patrick take Waller?
when did Patrick take Waller?
Was that the fifth round or was it the sixth round also?
It was the eighth round.
Jeez, this
And
guy.
so what are you saying? You saying that's good or is that bad?
I'm saying that's great. I'm saying
I would rather have Waller in the eighth than
yes,
Kittle in the sixth.
yes. I would
Okay.
rather have Waller in the sixth than Kittle in the sixth. I'd rather have Waller in the fifth than Kittle in the sixth.
Well,
I I don't hate Kittle. If you want to have a player that you're gonna just put in the tight end spot and say, hey, I don't have to worry about it. Sure, Kittle's there, but you should worry about it a little bit. I he's an amazing. Again, I keep saying this with these players that I hate on. An amazing football player. Like he does tight end things that old tight ends used to do 10, 15 years ago. He makes insane blocks. If you
yeah,
got points for pancakes, then Kittle would be the number one tight end. He's crushing DNs on a regular basis.
but you don't get points for pancakes. So
He's great in the Shanahan offense. Shanahan offense is smacky in the mouth,
he's
right? Debo's running the
he's a
ball.
team player.
Yeah, he's exactly. He is going to be a Hall of Fame tight end, and if he doesn't, he deserves to be. He does everything that you want. What they call them now is an H back, someone who can run the ball, catch the ball, block. It's called an H back. That is George Kittle in a nutshell. Unfortunately, the blocking portion of those things doesn't score you points.
Yeah.
So I don't hate the pick. I I don't want him on my team.
All right, moving on to there. George Pickens. Let's move through these flexes a little bit quick here. George Pickens, DeAndre Hopkins, Gabe Davis. I would say Gabe Davis is gonna be a roller coaster once again. Big weeks, low weeks. I don't think he's going to have that consistency that people were looking for last year. When he was named wide receiver 2 and going to be moving on, I think you're going to get the same as that Gabe Davis of last year. His value has definitely kind of stayed consistent since he had like that so-called down year from last year. But Gabe Davis is who Gabe Davis is. He's going to catch some long touchdowns. He's going to have some big weeks, and then he's going to absolutely disappear some other weeks. DeAndre Hopkins is someone I don't really know how I feel about, to be honest. He obviously is now wide receiver 1 on the Titans, but what does that really truly do mean? I will say, if you look at his points per game from last season, 16.86, that's awesome. I think he actually came in the top 10 in points per game for last season, obviously because he got suspended. But he also did get hurt towards the end of the season last season. You said that age 31 a couple minutes ago when we were talking about some older wide receivers. He's now at that age 31. I'm never someone to wish injury upon someone, but I really feel like this age is going to catch up to him. I think he's going to have some good games as well, but I don't know. I'm just like projecting he is not going to be finishing the season. I don't know. It's just a gut feeling that I have. But he's a good wide receiver, and there's no doubt about that. I think he's going to help the Titans. The Titans are obviously going all in a little bit here just for like one more competitive year with Ryan Tannehill.
I think they're trying to give Tannehill and Henry that last
So
hurrah.
But it was definitely an interesting move, DeAndre Hopkins to the Titans. But hey, I do like him at the flex. I wouldn't be very sad if he was my wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2. My favorite wide receiver in this group, I would say, is George Pickens. I know he's also very polarizing in this field. People don't really like him. So I think it's all about analytics for these individuals sometimes. Just like, oh, he doesn't have the efficiency ratings that you're kind of looking for. George Pickens is a stud. He gets that ball and he's a playmaker, and that's what I'm looking for. I think, and Kenny Pickett is supposed to be taking the next step forward. I like George Pickens. I kind of want to see how he plays out. But he's definitely my favorite out of the bunch here. What do you think?
George will go as high as Kenny goes. Um, Deontay Johnson is the number 1 receiver there. He will be the consistent guy. He will get 7 to 10 receptions a game. George will get 4 to 6 receptions a game. You're happy if it's over 5.
You're
And
happy.
they'll all be flashes. They will all be cool sideline, over the middle, just athletic plays.
Yep.
He does not separate at all.
At all. It's actually so.
He
Actually,
just
a couple of
contests
videos.
every single catch. He just contests. Now,
But he gets them. But he gets them.
yeah. I mean, as long as he catches the ball, I don't care. But
He's using his
quarterbacks,
ability.
quarterbacks look at the guy that's open, right? They look at the guy that's open. The only time they don't look at the guy that's open is on the goal line and for first downs, right? Okay, my best bet here, Kenny Pickett, is to throw it in the top left corner of the end zone for George Pickens.
And that's what's
right?
going to happen. That line for the Steelers, it hasn't gotten any better. Like, I know they have said they've gotten a few pieces, but has it really gotten better? I doubt it. He's
Yeah.
going to be panicking a little bit, and George Pickens is going to be that guy. I think he's
Yeah.
going to be his go-to by come season end. But you did make a remark there, like you're going to be happy if he gets like 4 or 5. It's pretty interesting that you say that. Look at his receptions throughout the season last week. Pretty interesting stuff right there. So I think you're spot
I
on
do
with
my homework, baby.
Yeah, you do. That was pretty spot on. So. All right, cool. Moving on to the next team here. Actually, I do want to say one thing. Trey Lance is on this team. We, RIP Trey Lance. I think it's pretty.
I always hated Trey Lance. I'll give him this. Sky Moore is going to be in Noah's lineup more than he knows.
I would agree with that. I think that's a really good take there. All right, cool. Moving on. All right, team number 3 here is Sean. Kind of continuing this conversation here. He drafted Justin Herbert over Josh Allen. So the Chargers are supposed to absolutely smash this season. New
Yeah.
new offensive coordinator from Dallas, Kellen Moore, correct? His name. Um,
Chuck the Rock.
so yeah, the Cowboys, if you've looked this up before, the Cowboys points per game when they put on offense was absolutely amazing. And everyone is saying that is Kellen Moore is doing. Now he's on the Chargers. He has Justin Herbert, which he is a younger and better quarterback than Dak Prescott. I'm not a Dak hater at all, to be honest. That is just not me. But I will say Justin Herbert definitely protects the ball more. He's younger, he's got a better arm, he can move. Let's get it, and he has Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Quentin Johnson, Joshua Palmer, Gerald Everett, Eckler. So many pieces around him. He's just gonna throw the ball everywhere. Once again, don't hate the pick. You can never really hate these top quarterbacks, but very interesting that he went the Josh Herbert route. And Sean did say that exact thing that I just said about the offense coordinator, Kellen Moore. He said they're gonna have a good season. So hey, that's where he stands. So I can't hate on it.
Rookie year, Josh Allen, 5 touchdowns. Sophomore year, Josh Allen, 3 touchdowns, rushing, rushing. Last year, 0 rushing touchdowns. He will score you 5 rushing touchdowns this year, guaranteed.
You think so? Also, you said
That's
Josh Allen,
30.
but we're talking
Yeah,
about
yeah.
Justin Herbert here.
Justin Herbert will score you 5 rushing touchdowns. He in 2022 had injuries. 2021 might have
His
had.
his rib, his rib, his
Yeah,
had that rib thing probably like I want so early, like week two, week.
yeah. I
So
think last year was an absolute monsoon. People were freaking out. In your league, I got him on the cheap,
yeah, you
and
did.
I'm freaking pumped.
Yeah,
I'm
you did.
pumped. This guy is gonna go for
I wrote
another
about that.
5,000 pass yard season. He's gonna get 5 rushing touchdowns. That's a free 30 points. He's gonna have. I think he's gonna have his career year this year. Um, but he can run. He did it in college. He wasn't like a rusher, but if he needs to run, he runs. He reminds me of Aaron Rodgers in his prime, where like, hey, I'll go run for 10 yard first down if it's easier than throwing it.
Yeah.
So I'm very eager
I love
for
I love his ceiling too. Like his
yeah
rookie year, 31 passing touchdowns, sophomore year, 38, and then obviously he had a little bit of a down season last season, but those touchdowns are going to be hitting that 30 range 100% guaranteed. I don't know
yeah.
what his over under is on passing touchdowns, but if it's anything around that 32 mark, I would put my mortgage on it. That
I'm betting this year he passes for 5,000 yards, scores 40 passing touchdowns and 5 rushing touchdowns. I think he's going to have a historic and career year this year with all the weapons he has and the new offensive coordinator.
let's look at some of these numbers here while we pull it up, see if we can get anything here. I don't know. Well, we're gonna move on. Maybe I'll look at that a little bit later. But 40 touchdowns is definitely a mark to be had there. All right, let's see something else here. Let's look at just the lineup overall. So you look at this, I think you kind of just noticed Sean went kind of young here. You see three rookies right off the bat, actually four rookies with Darnell Washington as a starting tight end. Five, Jonathan Mingo there. People are just creeping in here. So he has a lot of first round rookies here. So kind of want to hear your thoughts on the approach here. Seems like
He's
something.
the first. He's the first team that we've done thus far. Won't be the last because I did it. The first team that is going what I like to call and what others in the industry call the 1 year punt. You know that you're probably not going to compete year one. So you're putting your money on youth that should succeed. Year two in wide receivers' careers is the make or break year. So what this guy is doing here is betting on the year two production of JSN, Zay Flowers, Mingo, as well as Gibbs. We'll throw him in the wide receiver category because he's a scat back. Of these four names that I just said, Darnell will keep out for now.
Yeah, 100%. Not even
Gibbs
same playing
Gibbs
field.
will be the highest point scorer. Another human being in contention for offensive rookie in the year are these two players, Gibbs and Zay Flowers. Now, if JSN didn't break his wrist, JSN is the lead dog in that category. But he's going to be 1 to 4 weeks of, is he going to play? Is he going to be healthy? Is he going to be confident? So I think he falls out of rookie of the year because he's going to miss out on those playing opportunities. I love what he's doing. I think the only thing he missed out on this team was a young QB2.
Yeah,
He's
I
going to start Tannehill in his flex. I think
100%.
Tannehill, ironically, is going to have a very good year this year. I don't think he's going to have a historic year. I don't think he's going to, I'm not going to talk about him like I talked about Herbert. But I think Tannehill's going to have a very good year. And what Sean is doing is betting on Will Levis taking over in a smooth transition. Other than that, his flex, his super flex, which for most of us should be a quarterback, is tough.
Well, I'm sure he's going to obviously change that to Tannehill once, the season starts Thursday. I'm
No,
assuming.
it will be Tannehill. It will be Tannehill.
But
I'm just saying, like
yeah,
his
yeah.
for next year, is it Will Levis? If it is, still scary.
So, well, Levis is not even QB2. It is Malik Willis. They
He
do
will be though.
they
He
like
will
him
be
better.
though. He'll
So
he'll be he'll be QB2 by next year because he's bigger, just as fast, and I'm not a hater of Malik, but Malik has a full year in that system under his belt. That's the only reason he's QB2 is because if Tannehill goes down, he knows the system better than Will Levis. Once
like,
Will Levis knows the system, Will Levis is the better quarterback.
you think
I'm
there's going to
sorry.
be a better competition there, essentially. So once Will Levis gets that year, you think he is going to overtake Malik Willis because of that year. So hey,
Once Will Levis knows the
it's a good
system,
take. It's a good take. I will say, Jamar Gibbs is getting the hype is out of control right now. Redraft leagues, he's literally going to second round. Literally insane.
he's gonna
Uh,
get a lot of balls in the air, baby.
so it's gonna be interesting, I have a couple of friends from up here who are also really big into Dynasty. And this one individual I really do trust a lot. I like his takes, and me and him are kind of in the same playing field. It's like Jamar Gibbs didn't really impress us.
Jameer,
And
come
Jameer,
on, Jay,
sorry,
twice.
Jameer Gibbs did not really impress us during college in Alabama. Alabama is obviously a historic college football team, but we feel like he should have done more. And maybe we are just, I don't know, being nitpicky on Jameer Gibbs. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I'm not going to say he's going to be a complete bust or anything, but I think the hype's out of control. I think everyone needs to lower their expectations a little bit, but hey, maybe he'll prove me wrong. I would say his next running back, Najee Harris, is also someone that is kind of going the opposite of Gibbs, and he is really going down a lot. A lot of people are thinking, who the heck Jalen Warren is going to come in and take some time away from him. Najee has been was very, very inefficient last year, but he was also hurt, which I think people forget. Everyone forgets about. I think he had that foot injury, but towards the end of the season last season, Najee went a little bit nuts. Let's look at
Yeah,
that game log there. Look at this. Started to be a better running back. Look at those touches there.
yeah.
Getting those yards up, getting those TDs. So I don't
You
know
love
how
to see green.
exactly. The green is what we're looking for here. So I don't think Najee is the worst running back to have. I do like this group, Gibbs and Najee, to have as your running backs. I like a Cam Akers. Who's competing with Cam Akers and the Rams? Nobody. Absolutely.
That weird guy that they said was going to do good and then disappeared because he
Last
also messed
yeah,
up his knee.
last season. What's his name? I'm sure it would come to us. But
If Akers gets hurt again, I think his last name is Williams. If Akers gets hurt
yeah,
again,
Kyron Williams. Yep.
yeah, if Akers gets hurt again, then Williams will be relevant. If Akers does not get hurt, Williams will be irrelevant in my opinion.
Akers also a league winner last year towards the playoffs. Look at this. I had him actually in a redraft league, and
Yeah.
I sat him during the first round of my playoffs. Look at that. Look at that. The first round of that playoffs is insane. Or
Woof.
first round, the second round. Those three touchdowns, that's pretty incredible. So a league winner,
Yeah.
everyone's thinking he's going to replicate that. Obviously, I traded for him in a league. I like him. We'll see what happens.
I
Uh,
think what hurts him right now is the injury to
Cooper
Senor
Cup,
Cup.
yeah. The
Cup is what opens up this offense. If you don't have Cup, they're going to pack the box.
the Rams are definitely going to be a very interesting team. I think
Full
they,
hit or miss. They're swinging for the fences, man.
yeah, I mean, they got the Super Bowl though, and that's what they wanted to do. So the goal was accomplished. Obviously
Yeah.
they wanted probably more than one, but the team is definitely a wreck right now. So I don't know. Should be interesting to see what really happens there. Talk about these receivers a little bit, like you did. I love Zay Flowers. I like him a lot more than Rashad Bateman right now. I think Zay Flowers is going to be that wide receiver one on this team by the end of the season. Someone that I would definitely invest in the future. I don't have him anywhere in any of my leagues, but someone I'm definitely looking for. I think he's going to be good. If he has a down week, definitely someone I'm going to be shopping for, just to give everyone some insight about what I'm looking to do. So JSN is JSN. I'm never going to hate on JSN. I think he's going to be an alpha. He is going to be a dominant football player in this league. Maybe not just this season, obviously Lockett and Metcalf, but Gino throws the ball too. The Seahawks have a very balanced offense. So I don't know if he's going to win you any leagues this year, but he's definitely someone that you definitely want to hoard away because he's going to be amazing in the future years.
Yeah. I want Zay Flowers and JSN. Sean, I'm here.
Yeah, it's honestly a really good starting five. I think just like the flexes are just like a little bit iffy, but I think that's kind of like what we kind of expected. Definitely look for Sean to be trading some pieces. Maybe if Cam Akers does blow up, trade him away. Get some draft capital there. Maybe Rashad Bateman, Jonathan Mingo getting a lot of hype. So CEH, who you brought up before. So this is what I kind of wanted to say about CEH previously. Look at his beginning of his last season. He had like a two good look at that couple good weeks there. 22, 15, 14, 22, and then he
I
went
think
non-existent. So
I think CEH could be just one of those guys that came in, massive expectations,
because he was on the Chiefs, that's why.
but he's human. And sometimes human beings, because even in college, CEH, his junior and senior year was when he popped off. I think he was a little bit of a late bloomer. He wasn't like a rookie phenom like you normally get.
Yeah.
Um, I think I think he could really do something crazy this year. I think he can break out. I'm not saying I'm like going after him in leagues, but I can really foresee him taking over the starting role that has been shaky his whole career. I could even see him like if someone like Pacheco gets hurt, I think he's gonna have a great season. I really do. Even with Pacheco perfectly healthy, I think he's gonna be going a lot higher than he's getting drafted in terms of his point, like his value. And yeah, I'm just having this really interesting feeling about CEH. I think that he's just a late bloomer. I think that this year and next year he's going to be someone that you're happy that you have on your team. Again, not someone I'm necessarily hunting for right now, but at the right price, I would put him on my squad. And when I looked at that bench, I also saw Tank Bigsby.
Hank Bigsby.
Um,
We talked about him right there. Yep.
I think he takes over the Jaguars' main running numbers.
That is a spicy take right there. Write it down,
Yeah.
everybody. Write it down. Tank Bigsby
Ne-
taking over
I
the
wouldn't say it. I wouldn't say it this year. Next season, I think he's the main ball carrier compared to ETN.
yeah,
I
for sure.
really do.
That's
I think he's
interesting.
got the size. I think he's got the speed. I think he also can catch. And
No,
it's
you
just
can't.
really, really hard. The last name I want to say something about is Bateman. Um, Sean, I'm not picking on you here. This is just my take on drafting people on the same team. Like if you make your bet with Flowers, I don't want to have people that encroach on each other's points. There's only one duo I will allow you to do that with, and it is Waddle and Hill. I wouldn't even do it. I wouldn't even do it for, Chase and Higgins. I wouldn't. It's
Ooh,
just Waddle and Hill. They're the
not
only
a
ones who have like truly proven that they're both going to be top 10.
I would say AJ
So
Brown, Devontae Smith, definitely up there. Jalen Hurts is getting his passing yards out there, and they were both
all
in the
right, I'll give you that one. I'll give
they're
you
both
that
in the
one
top
because
12.
I think Smith is an absolute freak.
I would agree with the Higgins take though. I'm not a Higgins guy, but
Yeah.
talk a little bit about Bateman. I used to own Bateman. You know, I actually went to the Jets Ravens game week 1 last year. Um, look at his first 2 weeks. Those are some numbers you want to see.
Yeah.
Very similar to kind of what you said, but look at those receptions. Very, very down. None of those are green. He's very much a long ball type of person. So it should be interesting. I'm happy I'm off the Bateman ship, but you know,
Yeah. If
he could,
Bateman does it this
he could
year,
do.
if Bateman does it this year, Sean, trade Bateman or Flowers. Make your bed, pick one and trade the other. Because if Bateman doesn't do it this year, he's it's over. It's over on the Ravens. Maybe he goes to another team, but it's
Correct.
over on the Ravens.
Zay
So
Flowers is the guy to have, and that's where I stand.
yeah.
100%. All right, moving on. To pick 4 here is my lovely team. We love
Watch
it.
this guy smile for the next 15 minutes. Watch him smile for the
No,
next 15
honestly,
minutes.
I've been looking at this team. You sent me a video on Instagram yesterday of like looking at your team 100 million times. That's so funny. It's something I definitely do. But I don't know if I'm smiling about this team. I love the vibes of everyone getting together, but I was a little bit caught off my game a little bit there, I want to say, during draft day. But hey, we're gonna make things work. So here we are. We finally Josh Allen finally came off the board.
I
At the
mean,
104.
potentially, I mean, already the first steal of the draft. The
Yeah,
first steal of the draft, definitely.
I had to take him. It was obviously between him or Jalen Hurts. I went Josh Allen. Why not? Why not go Josh Allen? The true plan was to, I see Josh Allen. I was like, all right, I need to make sure I get Stephon Diggs. And I wanted to get him in the third, and I got him in the third. So it was beautiful magic. I'd love to see that. You can't go wrong with Josh Allen. We kind of went through him a little bit early before. Just look at these, look at the passing touchdowns, look at the rushing. The rushing's all green. That's
Take a
beautiful.
couple snapshots, man.
Look,
It's
look at
it's a
that.
beautiful thing.
It is literally you can't go wrong with Josh Allen. Definitely the 102 and leagues everywhere. So happy to take him there. Just to kind of take like a little deeper dive here. Let's just start off with the running backs here. I've kind of already made my statement about Ramondre Stevenson. Definitely wish I took Chubb, but hey, you win some and you lose some. But Ramondre Stevenson is someone who blew up last season. He had oops, wrong person. Yeah, he had a lot of receptions, which is something that you want to see from a running back in a PPR format. Just kind of taking a look at that. There is that green. He is getting those targets in the reception game from Mac Jones / Billy Zappi. Definitely more Mac Jones, though, from last year. So I'd really do see this kind of being consistent. Obviously Zeke is here. He's going to vulture those rushing touchdowns, but look at Ramondre Stevenson's touchdowns from last season. He didn't even have that many rushing touchdowns. So is there really going to be that significant change? I would even say he's probably going to have more rushing touchdowns this season. Why not? You know, he had
Yeah,
five
I think
touchdowns last season. That is something that
yeah.
can easily be beaten.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. His ceiling has been diminished because of Zeke, but he's going to do more than what he did last year.
And last year
And
it finished as a 7 in PPR formats.
yeah, I think when you picked him, it was a no-brainer pick. I mean, if you want to go Chubb above him, I get it. But if we're in a PPR league, the guy catches a lot of footballs and he's a running back, and the team has, put their trust in him. They obviously shipped off Harris. Uh, it's a good pick. The Zeke thing for
The Zeke,
I,
the,
I
Zeke's going to get his touchdown 100%.
yeah, I
So,
think Zeke's gonna get like 10 touchdowns. Ramondre Stevenson will get like 5 to 8. So, like you're saying, I think what we saw last year, 250 points. I think he's right there again, which is great. Which is
and
great.
even if he's a little bit under that, he's still in the
Yeah,
running for a top 12 running back slot.
and
So
because of your next guy, Tony Pollard, he works out fine. If Ramondre Stevenson was your number one, you'd be in a bit of a pickle. But Tony
So
Pollard's your number one. Let's be honest.
I see them very much interchangeable though. Like I see Tony Pollard and Ramondre Stevenson. Um, I don't know if there is a true dominant RB1 in this lineup. I think they are going to be kind of changing every single week, honestly. I love Tony Pollard, though. Tony Pollard should be good, but his long term situation definitely scares me, obviously.
Yes.
What is he going to do next season?
Yeah.
Who
I
knows?
mean, your team isn't necessarily set up for win now or
Exactly.
or punt. I mean, Diggs makes it a little bit of a win now. Mike
You look at that top
Williams,
five, you look at that top five, you're just like, okay, we're getting somewhere here. But you
yeah.
look under once tight end below, things are getting real rocky. So
Well, it would have been better if Judy didn't get hurt.
yes,
A Chain is A Chain needs time.
he needs lots of
But listen, you said Pollard and Stevenson interchangeable. I'm gonna make you happy here. I say Pollard and Austin Eckler interchangeable. I really do. I think he gets that much passing work this year.
That's good to hear. Hey, I'm a huge Pollard guy. Kind of what you're even saying before, even like with the Ravens and Bateman and Zay Flowers. Definitely don't like to have Pollard and CD, but high scoring offense. Let's see if something can happen. I love
At
CD.
least they're different positions, though. At
Correct.
least they're different
And
positions. I mean, they
and just
will vulture on each other.
exactly.
They will take away each other's work, but not like the exact same work. Every pass that Bateman will catch will be a pass that Zay Flowers will not catch, right? But
Yeah,
every rush that Stevenson has does not affect Pollard. Or
yeah,
sorry, Lamb.
for sure.
Yeah.
But I love CD Lamb. I think he is in that tier one of well, maybe like tier one, tier two of wide receivers, like CD Lamb definitely with like that Garrett Wilson, that Amon-Ra St. Brown. Um, Obviously Jefferson and Chase are kind of battling for one, but I think CD Lamb is right there. I would love to have him and I grabbed him. So it was between CD Lamb and Jalen Waddle. I don't know if I even have a direction even still standing here today, but I just felt like CD Lamb was the guy. You know, he is that wide receiver one on that team. So
Yeah. Yeah.
obviously Stephon Diggs, the stack there. I wanted that once I got Josh Allen. That was the goal, and I did get it. So hopefully that is a connection that's going to be there for a couple years. I actually wrote in the other league that I do our little write up for that. Obviously Diggs is getting a lot of this trade buzz. You know, I think it's BS. I think they're going to come out smashing, and then all of that's going to go away. They have a connection. You know, look at Diggs's prior seasons with Buffalo already. 3-7-4. Are you kidding me? Who's stopping that? Look at all these targets. He's reaching 160 targets per season. It's
He's the
literally
guy.
ridiculous.
He
He
is the guy.
29 years old, looking for a good 2-3 more seasons out of him. We'd love to see that. Um, moving down this list, I know we kind of already talked about Judy. I like Judy. I think Judy is someone that has not completely broken out yet. But he's always there, you know, he's always getting there and then he's getting hurt or maybe the Broncos just like honestly just haven't been the best offensive team lately. But I like Judy. Even if he moves off this team later in the world, I like him. So let's just get it, you know. Um,
Yeah.
Mike Williams, definitely more of a roller coaster kind of guy here. So up and down. So something that I did look into is Mike Williams receiving yards are 800 for the season. I feel like he can get past that, especially with your projection of Justin Herbert going for 5,000 yards. Mike Williams is easily going to surpass 1K. So kind of like that high ceiling move there.
Will he stay available? That's the question.
Would he stay available? That is the hope, you know. Let's look at some of
I,
his
I
let's
like Mike Williams. He's missing 2 games almost every year. And
so but
that's
look at
being
this.
nice.
Last year was 3. The year before that was 0. The year before that was 115. So he is kind of consistent, but he's playing through his injuries, which is the problem. He's always banged,
Yes.
and he's never really truly 100%. So I don't know.
You know when he's injured. You know it. You can
But
feel it
look
you
at some
feel
of
it.
these roller coaster games. He had 4 games over 100 yards. That's something that you want to see. even I'm more looking for that 75 range, and he hit that one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, 7 times in the season is something that I will take. For the flex, obviously, I think I moved Davin Cook to that. Devon A Chain is kind of just dead to me. So if anyone wants Devon A Chain, hey, he's on the block. Um, uh, Maybe you can get him.
Yeah, he's dead. Take him.
Yeah, maybe if you want him. Russell
Such a
Wilson.
good salesman.
Russell Wilson is someone who I feel like I had to grab him. It was definitely a little bit of a reach for my liking. I think he's Russell Wilson. Last season was not the best. Obviously, look at this. Um, uh, 16 passing touchdowns. That is the grossest thing I've ever seen. Um, I literally can't believe it. Like just looking at that, and he was somehow still QB 16. I don't know what's going on.
It was a bad QB year. It was a bad
Yeah.
QB year in general.
So I don't know. What are your thoughts on Russell Wilson? Let's hear from.
It's hit or miss. It's hit or miss. If he hits, you're super pumped. If he misses, you got Sam Howell. Like
Sam Howell. Oh, I love Sam Howell.
that's your shining star right there, Sam
I,
Howell. If you
I,
didn't have someone with upside like Sam Howell, I'd say you're in big trouble. But
Sam Howell.
if Russell hits, you're really happy because then you have QB depth. If he
Yeah,
doesn't hit, you're happy that you have someone to fill the role, but you're also a little upset that you lost out on a sixth round pick.
100%. I do hate it. Whatever. But Sam Howell, I do want to talk about. I love Sam Howell. Even looking at
He's
him
great.
last season, he knows what he's doing. He is a leader in that offense. He can run the ball. He can pass the ball. I think he was drafted in the 5th round last season. I don't know what people are thinking out here, but he's
That
good.
was me. That
Um,
was me. I drafted him in
Oh
your
no,
league in the fifth
no,
round.
the Commanders like in the actual NFL draft,
Oh,
you
whoa, whoa,
drafted him
whoa,
in the
whoa.
5th round.
Gotcha.
I think it was like the 5th or 6th round. Like that is nuts. I like him. I like Sam Howell though.
Yeah.
I think he is going to be the future quarterback. I have Sam Howell pretty much like everywhere. But he's good. His tape is good. I like it.
He's got to start for 2 years. Because of the draft capital, he has no security. And because Ron Rivera is on the hot seat, Ron Rivera could get fired and he could lose his job because another coaching staff comes in. I like Sam Howell. Sam Howell deserves the full season to figure out who he is as an NFL quarterback. He had a great sophomore season at North Carolina. His junior season, all of his talent disappeared, and they did not have a good class. He did not fail at North Carolina because of him. He failed at North Carolina because of the scheme, and the scheme failed because they didn't have the players.
Yeah, like who do they have? So Javante Williams went away, Michael Carter went away, De'Ami Brown went away. Um,
Wandale.
Wandell, everyone like from last year, I don't even think anybody got drafted from Josh Downs was from UNC. But besides that, those are some pretty high profile names that kind of just went away. So I don't know. We'll see. I like the whole Sam Howell hype. Just to kind of go through the bench a little bit here.
I think Moore is a name. Who knows if it'll actually happen, but
Shaheed
he's got
was something.
there's so much freedom right there on that passing attack. I just wrote down the name Gallup. Gallup is this is really his last shot.
This
He's
is
either going to
literally
do it
his last
or
shot.
he's not going to do it. I think Thornton is a name to keep an eye on. Van Jefferson is a name to keep an eye on.
Trey Palmer.
Um,
I'm not sure if you've seen these Trey Palmer highlights from the preseason. My guy's gonna be a stud.
they're giving him a lot of opportunities and he's taking advantage of it. So just like Sam Howell, this is a person who, if he's starting for an entire year, if he gets 2 years under his belt and the coaching staff just ends up loving him, then he's going to be a great asset. But also, there's a lot of insecurity in Tampa Bay. You know what I mean? There's a lot of insecurity in Tampa Bay. I don't hate the other names. I think another name to keep an eye on is Spiller. I think Spiller is going to be one of those late bloomers. Um,
He was
Austin,
I don't know
go
if
ahead.
you obviously last season when he was drafted, he was being talked about as a top 3 running back, and he was going to be a first or second round, and I think he dropped all the way to like the 4th or 5th maybe.
Well,
Uh,
the issue was that the two things was
I was a combine.
that
The combine, he was just like awful.
yeah, He had really bad numbers at the combine, so that the teams really hated that. And then he ends up on the Chargers, who already have Austin Eckler established. Austin Eckler wants to be there, but obviously fighting for contract money. They will move on to Spiller at some point. I don't think it's next year. I think it's the year after.
I don't think
But
Spiller
Spiller,
has overtaken the RB2 job though, which people
yeah,
wanted him to take away like stat, they believed he had
yeah.
that on, but he never showcased that.
He
Uh
never was last year was his rookie year, right?
Correct.
So he has a chance throughout the season to take over the RB2 position this year. He hasn't yet, but who is that guy in front of him? I have him in another league.
Joshua
Uh,
Kelly.
Kelly. Kelly's not good. He's only in front of Spiller last year because he knew the system. Now that Spiller knows the system, maybe he overtakes Kelly. Spiller by the end of this year or the beginning of next year will be the running back two, and depending on what happens to Eckler, and depending on if Spiller takes advantage of his opportunities, he's got a window to become the guy. He hasn't done it yet, and there's a lot of data out there that says if you're not the guy within year one or year two, you're never going to be the guy. There's a lot of data out there for running backs that says that. But he's a late round guy that I would have taken a flyer on, and I didn't get the chance because you did, punk.
I would say one person that I truly do like is not Rondell Moore, is Rashid Shaheed. Definitely someone
Yeah,
that
he did.
kind of
He had
he's
some
gonna
fun
be
last
it's
year.
gonna be interesting what he does. He
Yeah,
definitely met the benchmarks of what you're kind of like looking for out of like a rookie with some games. So should be interesting. Hey,
he's gonna
he
have opportunity. He's gonna have
100%.
opportunity.
So something to look out for. Last part about this team, just a tight end position. We have Chig and Doltich. I don't know about any of that. Besides that,
Chig's a good upside swing. Dolchich was a good upside swing,
yeah,
and
but the
then
preseason has been crazy with Sean Payton. So he's been playing Troutman a lot more. So
yeah, he
I don't know.
drafted Troutman. So
Exactly. So I don't know. We'll see. But
yeah,
that team, my team, I don't know. We'll see how it goes throughout the season. We're definitely going to have to rely a lot on our superstars here and hope for some people to really step it up, to be honest. So all right,
I
moving
predict
on.
I predict a lot of trading in your future.
Oh, I'm going to be trading so much. We love to trade, but we're going to see what we're going to do. Maybe blow it up. We'll see what happens. All right. Moving on to we're probably going to be doing 6 teams today. We are really talking up a storm here, so we're going to go on to you and then probably stop with Ben's team, and we'll probably fit in the other 6 sometime in the near future. So sorry for breaking hearts out there. Let us know if you enjoy. Give us a like, comment, subscribe. But let's move on to team 5 here, which is Brownie's team. Uh,
Yeah, let me kind of give you the thought here because you're gonna tear it up. I know you're gonna
I'm
tear it up.
gonna tear it up. All right, let's hear it.
All right.
Very similar, I will say. You're doing the same thing that you're doing in my other league a little
Yes.
bit here. So
So in Jason's league, first time ever being a dynasty player, I went all in. I was like, I basically did a redraft. Essentially is what I did. A couple young bucks, but I essentially went redraft. I saw that I was gonna win that whole league, and then Saquon and CMC both died that year. What was that, 2019,
2020, I want to
2020, 2019? It was one of those two. Long story short, I felt so burnt by that.
say.
So I started doing more research on Dynasty. I did a little bit of research on Dynasty. I started really diving in. Now I like Dynasty more than redraft. I think I'm part of one redraft league this year, and I'm part of 4 Dynasty leagues, which is ludicrous.
That is
Um, Assets that last longer. So in Miro's league, I traded my 2 injured guys who still have value in CMC and Saquon, and I got a lot of draft picks, and I got younger. And then last year I did the same thing, traded people away, got a lot of draft picks. I'm gonna get younger. I've got 4 draft picks in Miro's league in 2024. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be glorious. He's in trouble. All right, that guy, Jason Mero's in trouble.
nope.
All
I'm
right,
But we're
in this
talking about
league,
we're talking about this league here. So
yes, in this league, in
let's
this league, I said I don't want to wait 2 years in another league to do the rebuild. I'm going to do it right now. So it's of course it's my first team. It's the rebuild mentality though. It was get as many quality wide receivers and quarterbacks as you can. If you're lucky, get a tight end, which I didn't. And if value drops at running back, you go grab running backs. I had barely any value drop to me at running backs. So I just started, spraying the machine gun at the end of the draft for running backs. The idea is a 1 year punt. Next year, I will be a lot more competitive than this year.
I would say
Go
that
ahead. Go ahead.
you got the job done there. The only thing that I guess disagree with is you got rid of your first round pick for next year, so you're already kind of starting yourself in a little bit of a hole here. But I know
Yep, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
I know you're a trader. I'm sure you're gonna get some first back at your way. I would not be shocked by that. Jalen Hurts, awesome. He dropped you the 105. I think that's someone who is even competing for that 1-3 spot over Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow.
Second value pick of the
Yeah.
league. You got that first value pick with Allen. I got that second value pick with Hurts, and everyone's looking at me like I got 9 heads because I'm a Giants fan. But how do you not
Hey,
take?
you gotta take the teams out of this. You really gotta go with this is fantasy football. We're here to have fun. We're also here to make some money, and we're here to talk a little bit of garbage to each other. You know what I mean here? So like, I'm all about that. You gotta take Jalen Hurts. I love the Devontae Smith stack. I love stacks so much. Devontae Smith is a stud, literally an absolute stud. Finished
Love him.
ninth in wide receivers already, and his second season. It's literally only up from here. I He is going to be a dominant force. He won that Heisman for an absolute reason. He might be like 170 pounds, crazy. But if you look at him play, he is a man out on that field.
He
It's
honestly he
incredible.
avoids contact pretty well, unless if it's a contested catch.
Like he gets that
He avoid
separation that we're
contacts
looking
pretty
for.
well.
Yes, he's amazing. I love him. I have him in that league that we're talking about. I love him. Actually, I
I'm
don't have him in that
curious.
league. I have him in another one, but
I'm curious. 1 year, 2 years from now, so next year or 2025. Do you want Smith or do you want Brown?
ooh, so this is kind of something that I've been debating with my head, honestly. I feel like even this season, I want Devontae Smith over AJ Brown. Especially in a dynasty league. If we're talking redraft, I think I have AJ Brown over him this season, but this might literally be the last season that this happens. But I think they're both just going to be good. It just really depends on how long they're going to keep this group together. Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith, AJ Brown. I know you're talking about not having two receivers. I'd be happy having all three of them on a team. I think that's incredible. But I do think, obviously, long term, I just think Devontae Smith is probably the play. Him and Jalen Hurts are probably going to have more life together moving forward. That's just an age thing, but AJ Brown is no one to run away from. Good guy. One person I want to talk about here is Chris Olave. So, Chris Olave, he is getting absolute hyped up right now. The dynasty space is going crazy for him. They think he's gonna break out. He's gonna be in Garrett Wilson's type of range, Amon-Ross type of range. I'm not gonna say that I don't believe it, but I think we need to limit expectations here. Maybe he might show me up. I don't know. But obviously you feel very high about him. That was your second round pick. That's a 206. So
If I didn't make the trade with your brother, I think he still would have been my second round pick. I
that's
think I
true.
knew
And that's who you traded. That's who you traded a second for. So let's go to that trade a little bit. So another first rounder traded off the board in this league real early. So you traded essentially a first, a third, a fifth, and a ninth for that second. It's definitely a lot of capital right there that you're giving up for a Chris Olave. But I know you got Kyler Murray with your other one I
yeah.
know you love Kyler Murray. You know how I
In
feel about Kyler Murray already. So
yeah, in
uh
hindsight, in hindsight, what'd you say? It was a third, a fifth, and a ninth? I should have dropped the ninth. It should have been a third, a fifth, and the first. What I was doing was saying Kyler Murray is a previous 400 point scoring quarterback. And even if he doesn't play this year, he will never be this cheap. He will never be from here on out. in my
You think the
opinion.
second round is cheap though? You don't think you could have waited a little
Yes.
bit?
I think 2024, after the 2024 season, when he starts an entire year, whether it's for Arizona or for somebody else, Kyler
It's
Murray will
definitely going
be
to be
back.
someone else.
I mean, I don't really care though, because he's
Yeah,
got so much money in his
that's
contract.
what you
That's
say. You're all about the Kyler Murray train.
Well, listen, he's still got 3 years guaranteed on his contract. So if he doesn't get traded, great. If he gets traded, whoever takes him has to be all in.
So there's a lot of question about his work ethic, though.
Yeah,
He's
whatever.
probably playing COD right now as we speak instead of
If you if you score 400 points, doesn't matter what position you are in fantasy, you cannot be taken lightly. So the fact that Kyler Murray is a second now, here's the thing, ready? I did more research after my draft. He might have even dropped to me in the third round. Now, I don't know if that's true because my brothers are in the league and Ben is in the league and everybody has been hearing me talk about Kyler Murray. So I don't know if he would have made it back to me in the third round. So in hindsight, probably shouldn't have made the trade. But I don't care because I'm a 1 year punt anyway.
Hey,
So
I know Mike was obviously this is Mike's first dynasty league as well and stuff like that. And he was even like a little bit like, I don't know if I should make the trade. But I mean, when I heard that trade, I was like, I'm in. I smash that. Get his first
yeah.
round. That is and like I know we're not going to be talking about Mike's team today, unfortunately, because he's number 7 slot, but like I think he made out. I think he made out. I think
No,
he's
it was definitely like I'll admit I overpaid. Now, if Kyler becomes who I predict he's going to become in 2024 and 2025, then for me, it's not an overpay. In this exact moment during the draft, overpay. Back then, not an overpay. Or I'm
yeah,
sorry, in the future, not an overpay. Because if Kyler becomes a top 5, top 7 quarterback like he's been in the past, he was actually a top that 400 point season
look
was
at
he a
it. Yeah.
top 3? He
3,
was
yeah.
third.
Number
He was
3.
top 3. He was 434 points. Okay.
He
So
has you're
he's
looking
got
for
325 his rookie year, 440 his sophomore year, 380 was it 370? 370 something his third year. Okay? This guy produces points. I don't care about his work ethic. I don't care about all the drama. I don't care that he's a legal midget. Okay? He
is
is a point producer.
I'm surprised he's
So,
5'10". I thought he was shorter than that, to be honest.
no, he's an absolute midget. So if he's on the Cardinals, great. I'll see exactly what I've seen in the past. If he's on another team, it means another team has bought in enough to spend money on him. He's a guaranteed 3 year contract 2024, 2025, 2026. He will be with whatever team he goes to for 3 years. He will not, he's a competitor. I mean, he plays COD all the time because he wants to be number 1 in the world. Literally. That's all he does. He just competes and he's a little freaking.
I just like I don't know. I obviously he has that rushing upside, but he doesn't like look at these passing touchdowns 20, 26, 24, 14. Those interceptions are in double digits. Like, I don't know. I would like to see the jump. Obviously, I don't that jump is not going to happen this season with his torn
Yeah.
ACL and like coming back, but I don't know. This is Kyle Murray is a guy that I would be waiting on. A second round is a little bit too steep for me for the unknown, especially since like he most likely probably not going to be on his current team that he is right now. He knows that. I think the organization knows that. They're kind of blowing it up already, you know what I mean? So it's gonna be interesting to see where he lands. Just a lot of places, Vikings maybe, Titans, are
If he
definitely
goes to the Vikings, you're going to eat it. If he goes to the Vikings, you're done
but we'll see.
because
We'll
he's
see.
going to
We'll
have
see.
a
We'll
freaking
see.
career if he goes to the Vikings. I'll tell you that.
Let's talk about some other wide receivers since that's kind of your plan here. And I really do. I love the wide receiver setup here. You got Treylon Burks, Brandon Ayuk, and Deontay Johnson kind of filling out your flex. Those are some really great players that we are kind of waiting on. Treylon Burks is supposed to make that next step. His camp hype has been phenomenal. Obviously, last year he had a very down season. Wasn't really prepared, people were saying, but apparently his camp this season is really good. Obviously, he injured a little bit, but he actually started practicing again, I believe, the other day. So he should be a week 1. Week should be good to go for week 1. Brandon Ayuk, obviously, on the Niners offense. They have a lot of heads, but Brandon Ayuk puts up numbers. I think a lot of people don't really see that with Brandon Ayuk. I just don't think he has been someone who has like won people their leagues and won people's weeks. But if he can be consistent with some of this, obviously early in the season was a little bit bad, but he's getting those receptions, 8, 7, 6, 6, 5, 5, 5, 9. Like if he can get that like 5, 6, 7 range daily, consistently every single week, this is someone who I'm also going to be buying in on as well. So I think he's good. I think Brandon Ayuk is definitely very underrated. People are thinking CMC, Kittle, and Debo over him, but I think Brandon Ayuk is going to shock a couple people. Maybe he can become that number two option on that offense. Deontay Johnson, we've kind of talked about a little bit before. Target machine. Literally, look at this. Insane. 147 targets last season on a down passing season. He had 0 touchdowns last season, which is kind of crazy. But guess what? That is literally not going to happen next season.
Statistically impossible.
Literally impossible. So Deontay Johnson is a steal everywhere. Honestly, you draft him in the 8th round, redraft, he's going in like the 6th, 7th round. So for anyone doing redraft leagues out there, literally draft them as your flex spot.
Check
It's a steal.
just show the audience his history real quick. Just
Yeah,
for a hot second.
look at this.
Because last year was an absolute fluke. Just
It was.
go to his points. Just go to his points.
It
Just
is.
go to
It's
overall points.
180.
Okay. Rookie year, 165, 221, 276. That's ludicrous. 276 points is insane.
Over 100 receptions, 1,000 yards, like that. I think that's the Deontay Johnson you're looking for. You want that 100 reception season with that 7 to 8 touchdown range. Obviously, if you get 100 receptions, you're most likely going to be over 1,000 yards. He is truly but he's truly a reception type of guy. He's not really a touchdown type of individual. I guess that's going to be more of George Pickens in the red zone. Even Pat Freiermuth is a red zone monster. So Deontay Johnson's really going to be getting his points in this PPR format from his receptions. But that's
Yep.
not something to hate. He's never going to. He's going to catch a touchdown this season. If he doesn't catch a touchdown this season, I don't know what's going on over there. But I like Deontay Johnson. This little blend with Burks, Ayuk, and Johnson has really great high upside. I love them to complement Chris Olave and Devontae Smith. Like this is a good receiving core right here. I'm very impressed with it. I think I even kind of like made a trade of you, so you had like 2 7s and stuff. It was a good move. I really do like that. I think that really much honestly saved your draft here. And it's going to give you a promising future in regards to your wide receivers, which you probably feel the same about.
Yes. I'll just say this quickly. Um, I'm very bold on Ayuk. I think Ayuk can be as productive as his counterpart, if not take over as the number one receiver. So
I
when I
agree.
was looking for my flex position, this was my brain. My brain said, I got Smith, I got Olave. They're both going to be 250-point scorers. I mean, Olave hasn't done it yet, but I think that's in his range of outcomes. For my flex, it was if it's not within your range of outcomes to score 200 points in a season, I'm not drafting you. So Burks has the high draft capital, the athletic potential, and he's the number 2 on an offense that their number 1 is questionable. Right? I love Hopkins, but he is at the end of his career, regardless if he
I think
wants to
that
admit
makes
it
him
or not.
better, though. There's been a lot of
I
talk.
do too.
I
I do
think
too. I think being
it's
a number
great.
2 under a stud receiver 1,
100%.
you learn so
Yeah,
much.
I remember when that trade happened, everyone was like, "Oh, Burks is dead." No, Burks is back. Burks is back alive. Like
And
I
Burke's
love
gonna learn some
back. He
amazing
doesn't
stuff.
he doesn't have to face that
He's
number
just,
one cornerback now. Like if we do
yeah,
have the number one quarterback shadowing Hopkins, it is wheels up for Burks. I love it. I hope
yeah,
that is what's happening. I hope DeAndre Hopkins is feared like that, so Burks is not getting all those looks from the number one cornerback on that team. So
yeah. And I
I
think Burks is a similar actual being to Hopkins. He's
100%.
tall, he's long, he's fast. That relationship hopefully is a good one, and hopefully he can pick up information from Hopkins as he matures.
That's what you're looking for.
Um, do you want to I want to do the running backs on my team last because they
Running,
don't
yes,
have.
100%. That was
Yeah,
I. This is going to be real quick. Michael
yeah,
Mayer also has been getting some hype as well, in tight end, but that's obviously not a position that you're really like reaching for, especially with the build that you're here. But I think he really does have some potential. Michael Mayer could be the best tight end in this draft class. But he's definitely being very kind of like slept on for Slam Laporta and Dalton Kincaid as they are being worked in with their respectable offenses. But Michael Mayer is definitely someone to have as a good stash. I think he's good starting at your tight end position and now moving forward. I don't know.
If you just quickly hit all my tight ends,
Yeah,
Conklin, upside. Noah Gray, once Kelsey leaves, upside. Durham Smith, absolute punt, but he's the starting tight end on a very productive Miami offense. And then Gerald Everett is probably who I'm going to start week one
that's
uh,
kind of where
because
I
he's on the Chargers and he's just more likely to catch a touchdown.
I think you're going to be shocked by this. Obviously, I'm a Jets fan, so I'm a little Jets homer, but you're going to be starting Conklin more than you think this season. And
I really hope so because Aaron Rodgers got me all jazzed up.
you really are. You're going to start him a lot more than season. I'm telling you now. All right, so let's hit these running backs. Obviously, this is not the spotlight of your team. You even mentioned that in the beginning. But Antonio Gibson is someone who is he's quietly going to produce. He has what's his face? Eric Bieniemy from the
Yes.
offensive coordinator, if that's how you pronounce it correctly.
Yep. Yep.
Who loves to use his running backs like this. Antonio Gibson has never been awful, but he's never has truly just like broken out. Um, Even honestly, looking at this is kind of crazy. 13th, 12th in PPR, 27th last year. Who's to say we can't meet in the middle and he can be a top 15 back? That's incredible stuff, honestly. I love me some Antonio Gibson. I also don't have him anywhere, but someone who I'm willing to kind of have as a flex. I don't know if he would be my RB1, but it's a good place for you to start. Maybe if he breaks out, maybe you're looking to trade him away. I don't know if he really has that long-term type of value, to be honest. You don't really know where he's going to kind of go after this, but could be a potential good trade piece for you to kind of move out of here. Tajay Spears, I think, is one of the best handcuffs in football today. Obviously, Derrick Henry is getting older and older, but he might just be age proof. He's amazing. There's no denying that. But Tajay Spears has honestly shown something in the preseason. Um, I think he's going to get some play. He's going to score some touchdowns and he's going to score some long touchdowns and he's really going to make a splash. I think he's really going to get into some of this work that we're having here for the Titans. I like him. I like Tajay Spears. I wish I liked him more during the pre-draft process so I can draft a little bit more of him, but I don't have him anywhere. But I do like what he has shown this preseason. What any thoughts on that?
So if you go to my bench, you got Chase Brown,
Chase
clearly not the starter because they brought back,
Mixon for the cheap,
Mixon.
or the Mixon wanted to be brought back for the cheap, so his decision.
Yeah, well, Mixon said I want to keep playing. He took a massive pay cut, and they're like, "Fine, if you're going to take a pay cut, we'll keep you." But he was about to be chopped. He was about to be chopped. His efficiency is absolute garbage.
Yep.
He is a volume play,
Yep.
and I'm hoping that youth in Chase Brown can take him over, if not this year, next year.
That is
Then you have Hassan Haskins was just on the board at the end of the
yeah.
draft,
No,
so I said, "Why not?"
he's a jag.
I'll probably drop him
Wow.
by the end of the year because Spears will be that guy, but it is what it is.
100%. One name I want to talk about
Um,
here, Sean Tucker, though. Sean Tucker getting some hype.
love him,
The
love him.
Sean. I love Sean Tucker.
I took Keyshawn Vaughn too, so I have Keyshawn Vaughn
I
and
did.
Sean Tucker on my team at the
I don't
moment.
think Keyshawn Vaughn. I think Sean. Obviously, I know these were some later round picks. Like
Oh
obviously,
yeah, this was all just can I get
yeah,
someone who's going to
exactly.
be a starter in the
He
backfield?
did a
Yeah,
good job at trying to get like people's like the backups like handcuffs and seeing who's going to start. But I do love Sean. I do love some Sean Tucker.
yeah. Between Gibson, Spears, Tucker, and Brown, I'm hoping that two of those four will be
Yeah,
playable week in
you're,
and week out.
you're
That's my
definitely
hope.
starting Gibson every single week. It's just going to be who are you starting at your RB2 is
Whichever
essentially
guy looks like he's getting the most attention in his offense, to be honest. That's
100%.
really it. That's how it's going to be.
And then we didn't really talk about your other quarterbacks here, Brock Purdy and Kenny Pickett. Definitely
On
some.
the block, on the block, on the block.
Yeah, so obviously, I'm sure that was your plan to obviously draft quarterbacks to trade them away. How's that working for you?
So I was making a push to trade either Kyler or Kenny. Both of those talks really there's really like three teams I was talking with. They've come to a stalemate. I was upset about a week ago, but now I'm not because they're only going to gain value. Purdy's only going to become a better quarterback. Kenny's only going to become a better quarterback. I mean, if one of them flops, I guess that's in the range of outcomes. I don't think it's possible. If you look at Kenny's numbers from sorry, if you look at Purdy's numbers from last year, they're unbelievable. They're actually unbelievable. All right, as a first year last overall pick, okay, his numbers are unbelievable.
Pretty, it is.
He
You
he
see, and
starts week
he also
13.
touched that.
He starts week 13. He goes 18, 25, 21, 19, 21, 25. He makes it to the playoffs where his first game of the playoffs scores 41 points. Then goes to Dallas, wins on a run game, right? He wins on the running game, so they didn't need to throw. They took it off of his shoulders and might have tweaked his ankle a little bit. They didn't really talk about it, but might have happened. Then he goes to Philly, primed for a stud game, elbow dead.
Yeah, he was robbed
Dead.
of that opportunity. He really was. It was definitely interesting to see how they handled that. But seeing that 41 point week, I don't know if I've ever acknowledged that in my entire life, to be honest, just sitting here. So
Unreal.
that is unreal. Honestly, some high scoring
He
games here.
he
Pretty
will, between Purdy, Kenny, and Kyler in 2024, one of those guys will be my flex, and two of those guys will be on other people's teams.
interesting. Well, we'll see if that happens. We'll see. But overall, Brownie, seriously, not a bad team. I think I would prefer, obviously I know me and you two are always comparing each other, but I honestly feel like I like your build a lot more than my build. So yeah, I'll give you that one there. All right,
Flex.
last team for the day. Last team for the day. We're chatting today. This is
This is good though. This is good. The people love the
yes,
content.
yes. We'll see. We'll see. Once again, give us likes, comments, and subscribe. All right, Ben's team right here, pick number 6. All right, started off the draft with Justin Jefferson. Can't go wrong with that. Honestly, really just kind of looking at Ben's team. What are your immediate thoughts? Looking at this page right here, what do you see?
I see my heart broken for Jonathan Taylor.
Oh my God. Yep.
That's what I see. I think Ben had a very good opportunity to be a competitor, to it was going to be a smooth sailing season. Maybe his bench was a little bit rough, but if his starter stayed healthy, he would have been able to compete with just about anybody.
It
And
does.
then Jonathan Taylor.
It really is a huge blow. Like, honestly, really looking at his bench, like, I don't really think he has anyone to really kind of take the spot here. Let's look at his flex. James Conner, I guess, moves up there. David Montgomery probably put in some
I
other
mean,
wide.
he has running backs he can put in there, but they're
Yeah,
not going to be Jonathan Taylor.
I'm more worried about like just his depth overall, honestly, just kind of looking at this team. But you're not wrong, Jonathan Taylor is a huge hit. This is a top 5 running back in the league, maybe like 2 years ago. He was the RB1 2 years ago. So he's obviously taken a little bit of a hit last season. He had a little bit of an underwhelming year, but he was ready to come back with Anthony Richardson, which I know there's a little bit of some thoughts there. Anthony Richardson was going to take some work away from him, but I really think that is a good pair. I think they were meant to be complementing each other. That has a good dynamic offense feel to it. But now he's gone, and I really don't think Jonathan Taylor is going to be a Colt this season. I think after this 4 games, they got to do something. Obviously he's poised to go to Miami. I think they want Miami to just pay a little bit more. I know there was talks of like maybe they want Jalen Waddle. That is never going to happen. The Colts need to be realistic about what they're going to be doing here. I just think the relationship is kind of just like over. They obviously don't like each other, Jonathan Taylor and Jim Irsay. So something's got to be done. It would be tragic for him to not play this season. I think that's not good for fantasy football, and I think that's not good for the NFL overall. Like, what are we doing? So,
If Jonathan Taylor is not on another team this season, he will be on another team next season.
100%. But he would have
Which
to
is
play.
why
He would
which
have to
is why
play his
Ben
first game.
should trade me Jonathan Taylor because I'm on a 1 year punt.
So I could tell those conversations have already happened. And
No, no,
oh, they
definitely
have not
not.
happened. Okay, all right. So maybe something to happen. Um, All right, going through this team, I definitely want to get your opinion on Deshaun Watson. Definitely once, probably
Drives me crazy. I hate talking
a
about him.
very polarizing quarterback. He is at such this fine line of like he is definitely in this top tier of quarterbacks, but then obviously he had a very down season last season. He only played like what I think it was about like 6 games. And tell you what, they were not good games at all. I think his best game was
No.
probably his last one, where he started to kind of show some flashes. But I'm gonna be honest, as the Sean Watson owner across several leagues, um, I am a little bit worried, but you look at let's look at the history here. The history is what gets you. Look at that. When he
Oh
entered
my
the
gosh, I know.
look at top 5 for 3 consecutive years in a row.
It's insane.
Last year the Texans was absolutely insane. Almost reached 5K passing yards, 33 passing touchdowns on one of the worst teams in the league. Worst, like that wasn't even his AFC championship season. That was 2019. And look at those.
Yeah,
Like I he has to return back to it. Obviously, you know, thoughts above about like Deshaun Watson, the person. The guy needs to figure it out. Hopefully he, fit cleans him up, is a good personality for the team. His teammates can get behind him. I'm sure that's even like something that could be happening in the locker room, but that's not something that,
absolutely.
but the people need to get behind him. He needs to be their quarterback. The Browns want him to be the quarterback. They pay them like 200 million guaranteed. Like they're all in on Deshaun Watson.
Worst worst contract in
Oh,
NFL history.
but I really do want to know your thoughts. Like, I obviously am a little bit biased here. I do own him like in several spots, so I'm hoping for that top 5 quarterback season to come back. And he does have that rushing upside that me and you have been talking about all day. Look at
Yes.
that. That is something that we are looking for. And I think that's something that is going to help the case here for a Deshaun Watson return to the top 5.
Yeah, I think he's a guaranteed 450-yard rusher. I think he's a guaranteed 4 touchdown quarterback rushing. Here's the deal. You look at him statistically, and he's not going to fail. All right. If you look at him like a mathematician, he will be a top 7 quarterback. If you look
Okay.
at him, if you look at him like a human being, and you look at all the scrutiny he's been under, you look at all the press that's trying to go against him, you look at all the fans that are probably trying to go against him. You just talk about the human aspect of football because we always forget these people are human beings.
Yep.
He could crack under the pressure. He
I
could.
I I agree. Like he
That's the
something
it's
exactly.
the only worry. It's I don't have him in any leagues. This particular year, I was looking to snag him. Last year, I was like, no, I don't want a part of it. This particular year, I was trying to get him. I don't have him on any teams. The only thing that holds me back is the human side of all of this. But if
100%.
you look at him like an athlete and you look at him like a statistical number, he won't fail.
You have to think that he has some tough skin. It's been he obviously no one has really been talking about it like lately, but he went through that for like a year and a half. That's a lot for a human being to go through. So
And you got to hope that he kept up with his fitness because a year and a half of no football is
I
a
mean,
big deal.
he definitely looks the same. He's in good shape. He looks like the typical quarterback you're looking for, a big dude. Um, but hey, we do talk about that human element. Statistically, I think it's going to happen, but let's see if everyone else is going to also kind of get behind him as well. Um, QB2 on Ben's team, Bryce Young and Jordan Love. I will say
I think
Bryce,
it's great.
that's a steal. Bryce
Yeah, I
Young
think it's great.
at 5'12" is crazy. I was looking at this draft after we were done. Bryce Young should have gone so much before that. I can't believe he dropped. And he
Bryce Young should have been in the second round, maybe even
crazy.
before
I wish
Kyler.
I wish I drafted him. Like what are we doing here? Like
Yeah.
that's nuts.
I when
Five
I
12.
saw when I saw Bryce not go in the second and I already traded up for Kyler, I said, okay, I'm not touching quarterbacks for a long time. I love the idea of just accumulating quarterbacks in the startup and
Yeah.
then selling them off as people need them. I couldn't take Bryce Young. I was gonna do it in the third round. I'm sorry, the fourth round. I couldn't do it because it would have crippled my wide receiver style build. It would have crippled it. So I had to let him drop. But
Hey,
an
and he dropped.
absolute steal at the fifth round. And Love was a gamble, but a gamble that has thus far paid off. But we'll
I
see what he
agree.
does.
I think
We'll
I
see what
think
he does this upcoming week one. But he has looked very good in the preseason, and
as
there's been no negative conversations about him.
I like it. I think if Love can be productive and obviously be that starting quarterback for the Packers, like moving forward, Ben has some good life here at quarterback.
Does Ben have 2024 draft capital?
Yes, he did not trade any of that.
So he's got one. And he's, in my opinion, because of the Jonathan Taylor thing, he's going to be a middling of the pack team. Ben's got three good quarterbacks as long as Deshaun does what he's supposed to do.
Correct.
And
But
he'll have a chance for a fourth if his draft position puts him in a position to do so. If I'm him, I'm looking to see how valuable my quarterbacks are because you don't need all three of those guys and potentially grabbing a fourth next year.
well, I would honestly like keep all three. It's not like Bryce Young is going to go absolutely like
But he
super.
also has not Kyler Murray. He also, sorry to interrupt you. He also has
Baker Mayfield.
Mayfield. He's got Mayfield and Drew Lock. Now, listen, Drew Lock is scary to talk about, but let's be honest. Geno Smith is not going to be in Seattle forever. So Drew Lock is young enough that he will be a starter in Seattle unless they draft somebody.
No
And
way.
Baker Mayfield is currently the starter for Tampa Bay. If he wanted to trade away one of his three definitely good quarterbacks to someone who is willing to buy, he has the depth with Baker to survive this year. And we're both admitting that this year he probably can't compete because of Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, I mean, even like beyond the whole Jonathan Taylor thing, to like move on to some of his wide receivers, like I really don't see too much other wide receiver depth. Obviously, Justin Jefferson is amazing. Like you're not ever worrying about him. Wide receiver one, like I said, I think I do prefer Chase over Justin Jefferson just because of this QB situation kind of moving forward. Chase is with Burrow. You really can't beat that. I think Chase is my wide receiver one, but Justin Jefferson automatically wide receiver two, and no one's coming and chasing after that. Christian Watson is someone who I have found myself to be in on more and more as we get closer to the season, to be honest. Um,
I admit I am the same way.
it's
I didn't like him last year, but
yeah,
I like him
me
now.
either, but I think I like him. I don't know if I like that he's his wide receiver two there. I think I'd be more happy if he was in Chris Godwin's kind of position, but hey, he is poised to have a good season. So I'm in on the Christian Watson hype. 7.1 just looks so early to me though. It's just I don't know. I like him. Do
If
I
you were
like him
someone
that
like
much?
me, if you were someone like me or Sean with a rebuild style team, it makes a lot of sense at seven.
Correct.
His team is a little bit middle. It's some old, it's some young. So if I was him, I'd probably be trying to look for a little bit better value to compete now. But now it's fine because JT is he's not. I'm sorry, Ben. I really am. I just don't think you can compete this year without JT. I
Hey,
just don't
that
think you can.
it's not wrong. That's the third person he drafted. So that's
Yeah.
someone that is supposed to give an immediate impact and unfortunately cannot due to some circumstances here. I
So
love
I
Chris.
think Watson makes it. I think Watson makes it okay because he'll be 1 year older next year. He'll be 1 year more established. After depending what he does this year.
I think
Second, third
I
year
think
wide
he should have
receivers.
I think he should have
Say
a
that
good
again.
I think he should have a good season. I don't think Christian Watson's value is going to get synced. I think it's going to stay consistent or maybe even go up a little bit, but we'll see.
Yeah,
I don't think he's ever gonna reach like a Garrett Wilson or Chris Olave type of like hype like that, honestly. But if he can be
I think
like
he's
a
very
wide receiver
comparable to
too,
Mike Williams. Mike
yes,
Williams prime.
exactly. Correct. That's literally what like a top 24 type of range like there, wide receiver too. I love that comparison. Chris Godwin, I'm a huge fan. Like Chris Godwin always puts up his numbers. I don't care if he was with Baker Mayfield. Chris Godwin is gonna get it done. I think he's gonna have a better season than Mike Evans. Um, Chris Godwin is a baller. He came back from his torn ACL last season. And look what he did. Look what he did.
The kid
104.
just scores. He just scores 200 points. Like
He
you
is
can
good.
just write a check that he's 210 points or more.
Super underrated all the time. Obviously he's been a little bit banged up a little bit recently, but that wide receiver two season in 2019, I think that is kind of away from him. But we are really looking more for this like 10 to 15 range. Hopefully, he can get to maybe 10 to 20s, maybe even more realistic. But Chris Godwin is a good wide receiver to have on your team. He's going to put up these points for you. He's a reception type of guy. So
Yeah.
I'm sure we're going to see Green all the way over here. Look at this. Well,
Green, 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 green.
look at that. The targets
Yeah.
he's getting. Obviously, I know that was with Tom Brady. And Baker Mayfield hasn't always been the most kind to his wide receivers. I don't think Baker Mayfield has actually ever thrown to a wide receiver and put up a wide receiver one season. So just something to also kind of limit. Obviously there is that also getting in the way there. So just something to think about there. Going into his running backs a little bit more, James Conner is definitely like this type of season running back. I really think this is it for him. I don't really see how he can continue on anymore, other than probably like a Zeke role right now that he's with the Pats. Honestly, maybe goal line. But this is the last year for James Conner, and I really do truly believe that he's going to be on the worst offense in the league. So are they really going to be running the ball like that? I don't really know.
They
The
might have to because they
cards
can't
are
actually do anything in the air.
the cards are a disaster. I think they're starting Clayton Tune actually at quarterback. I think that was
I
like
think
a
they're starting that guy Dobbins.
oh
Who
yeah,
did
they just trade for him. So they did just trade from the Browns, I believe, correct?
Dobbs? I forget his
Yeah.
name if it's
Yeah,
Dobbs
no,
or
it
Dobbin.
is Dobbs.
Yeah.
Dobbs. So
Strange looking fella. I think he's an alien.
I think it's because he's bald and he has a leg head. We'll
He's
pull
got
up.
big eyes too.
But very interesting. I don't know. I'm not a James Conner guy. One of my really good friends, he has drafted James Conner everywhere, especially in like redraft. So just someone I'm staying away from. I love David Montgomery at this value. 11-6 is pretty incredible. I'm not saying he's going to have a Jamal Williams season like last season, but David Montgomery knows how to move the ball. Every time he's in the league, in the lineup, he gets the volume. Look at this. He's been top 24 since he's been in the league.
Yeah.
This is what you're looking for. He gets those carries.
He
He's
will I think he'll be Jameson sorry, Jamar Williams.
Jamal Williams
Jamal Williams more efficient.
more
He will
efficient.
get the goal line carries. He will get all those touchdowns, but he'll also get midfield running plays.
I agree with that.
Gibbs will bring them up and down the field, and Montgomery will punch it in.
Yeah, I don't think Montgomery is going to be as electric as Gibbs, but Montgomery is going to shock a couple people. A really good also option to have at the flex, even for like a redraft kind of space here that I am
He's
into.
gonna end up. He's gonna end up. It's Montgomery or Connor is moving up to JT's spot.
Oh, 100%. And then obviously we have a tight end here, Kyle Pitts.
He's good now.
No one
From
knows.
here on out, people should draft him and be
Yeah.
happy about him.
Are you sure
Everything.
about that?
Yes, it's year what 4, year 3,
Three.
year 4,
Year
year
three.
3. So
22
yeah,
years old. That's crazy.
yeah, it's nuts. It's actually nuts. 6'6", 250 pounds, just all crazy.
One
Here's the deal.
yards his rookie year is just incredible. Like,
Didn't he have 1,000 yards? Didn't he
yeah,
have 1,000 yards?
yeah, his rookie year, 1,006,
Yeah,
1,026.
he's a glorified wide receiver. He's not. He's not a tight end.
Oh, he's
Um. So here's the thing. Desmond Ritter will be better than Marcus Mariota in terms of passing the ball for both
in general.
London and Pitts because he's a pocket passer. He's not a runner. And Mariota is a runner. He's a
Yes,
runner.
and
That's
he's
it.
not a good passer at
No.
all. Like, it's
So
actually
Pitts is gonna have the best year of his career. Is
okay.
it gonna be a relevant tight end? Maybe.
So, but that's kind of like what we're asking here, though. Like, obviously, you want Pitts to be that Kelsey person, right?
Yeah. I mean, you need Pitts for Pitts to be relevant as a tight end. You need to score 200 points.
And did he do that his first season?
He never did.
176.
So 176 was like, yes, he's going to do it next year. And they didn't.
Oh,
So, but that's all Mariota's fault. So I think Pitts, if Pitts scores you 200 points this year, you're never letting him go. He is an absolute anchor. You're not even letting people talk about him. If
yeah.
Pitts doesn't score 200 points this year, then you're getting a little bit worried.
Oh, you should. I mean, I'm even so Kyle Pitts is my starting tight end in another league, and he's my only tight end essentially. So definitely I'm worried, but you can't sell him for cheap. You have
I
to
mean, next year, if he doesn't score 200 points, you might have to. You might have to just say, hey, I made a bad pick. He's not a bad player. It's I cannot subscribe to the world of drafting and starting young tight ends. I can't do it. I can't. It will never happen.
Well,
This, as you'll see,
historically,
this year
that's what the problem is.
I will start Everett significantly more. I might never put Mayer on my actual starting lineup.
Yeah, I would
I
not.
might never do it.
I, maybe towards the end of the season, but that is usually what happens with tight ends. They need literally like that 2 to 3 years. So
I think I read or heard somewhere that the amount of tight ends, like how about I'll phrase it this way: when tight ends to figure out if a tight end is really good, it's his fourth year in the league.
and
Fourth year.
that's typically what the range is. So
So how can you sit on a player for 4 years, even in a dynasty league? I'm not. So Jason, you didn't draft Kyle Pitts, but you traded for him in your league. Do we remember what he was drafted at? Was he
uh,
107?
he was that was his rookie year. So he was I want no, he was like round like three, with like
Did he
George.
go that late?
Yeah,
People
no,
were drafting him at the end of 101, at beginning of
no,
sorry, the end of 112, beginning of
I would
two.
never. I would never. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't think I would draft Kyle Pitts in a dynasty league right now. The value, that's too much for me. Like right now,
Oh, not now. I'm talking
he was
about when he
drafted.
came out
Yeah,
his
yeah.
rookie year.
I think he was drafted very similarly his rookie year, how it was in the other league that we're in together. But even right now, like at the 401, I don't know. I think I just
Oh, I mean, I would never do it. I could
looking
never
at
do
some
it.
other pieces here, like I would have much rather like a Devontae Smith over Kyle Pitts.
Yeah.
A Drake London,
Yep.
maybe Devontae Adams is obviously a stud. Debo Samuel, I guess you're kind of thinking about it right there.
Even Dak Prescott. Wait, which way is this arrow
Yeah, yeah,
going?
yeah. No, you're going the right way. Dak Prescott way, Najee Harris, Dalton Kincaid, also a name to look out for. I don't know, even like some fifth round people. I just think the price is too steep for me for someone who
I just
is
cannot. You
not in a
can't
passing
pay.
offense, you
Yeah,
know?
you can't pay for someone who hasn't proven it yet, and there's all these quarterbacks on the board.
It's just it's interesting,
Daniel Jones or Kyle
but
Pitts right
speaking
now.
of Daniel Jones or Kyle Pitt, that's a good
Right
one.
now.
Just like really depends on my team, to be honest. But like
Dude, it's Daniel
the fact
Jones.
that I'm thinking about it
It
is
has to be Daniel Jones.
uh,
It's a
say
two QB league.
I will say I in my article that I wrote for like our other league, that is hopefully being published today. I already did cross due to team that did have Daniel Jones. I'm expecting another top 12 season from Daniel Jones. Why not? You know, Brian Dable, year two with them. Why not? Why can't that happen? They're obviously committed to Daniel Jones, so he's off and he has that rushing upside. So yeah, yeah. I don't know. Kyle Pitts, though, we shall see. We shall see. Moving on to the bench spots here. Like I said before, um,
I got three names.
like
You go ahead. I got three names. You want to go first?
my main name is Marvin Mims. Like I said, he was the wide receiver I was drafting in the second round all throughout my dynasty leagues. I love him, and now the injuries are moving him up even more. I love it. He is going to be a contributing person. Maybe not. I think he is going to make a splash this season, but this is someone that you want to hold on to for year two, year three. I think he is going to be someone that is going to be happening. Obviously, Adam Thielen, he is the old veteran, but he is their wide receiver one. I don't really know who else you would have, to be honest, on that team. Maybe, obviously, like Mingo and DJ Chark are going to be in play, but Adam Thielen, I feel like, is going to be someone that Bryce Young is going to essentially trust. He's a receiver. That's who's going to do. I love Isaiah Likely. You know, he did come off a little bit, blow up a little bit last season. Obviously, Mark Andrews is in front of him, but you know, you'll kind of go from there. But yeah, I want to hear from you. What are some names that you're thinking about? I really think that's really it for me, to be honest. Maybe a Curtis Samuel, but eh, not
I
really.
was thinking about adding Curtis Samuel, but then I decided not to. I mean, he's a flash player. If it was like a best ball league, Curtis
Yeah,
Samuel's pretty obviously, but this is not that. I got Elijah Mitchell, Cole Turnell, McBride, and Likely. So you already hit Likely. I'll take him off. I think Ben kind of did what I did. He just started, pepper spraying tight ends just to see if one will hit. McBride is young. He's gonna have awesome opportunity to take the starting role in a very decimated Arizona offense. Cole Turner is going to have an opportunity to take the starting role in a very decimated tight end room for Washington. I think Cole Turner is really a big opportunity. He's young, he's big, he's fast, and their current tight end was a quarterback. So I don't hate what's that goober's name from Washington, the current tight end one. Go back to Cole Turner
John
and
Bates,
press. Is that his name? No, go back to click on team.
Logan Thomas.
Thomas. So he was a quarterback for 2 years, and then he was a tight end for 4 years. And listen, he's an athlete. That's why he was able to switch positions. But we need someone who's done it. We need someone who was born to do this, not changing positions. I think Cole Turner is very underestimated. I don't think you'll be playing him this year, but I think he's someone to hold on to for 2, 3 years, even from now, because I think he's going to. If you don't need to move things around on your bench, if you're not desperate for position players, I think you should hold on to Cole Turner. The
I'm
last
very
name is
interested in, yes, I'm very interested in
Elijah Mitchell.
Elijah Mitchell, man.
He, in my opinion, he's the number one handcuff in fantasy. You got Christian McCaffrey, who's had injury history just basically his entire career. I don't want to call him injury prone, but he's always missing somewhere between 2 and 4 games a year. And Elijah Mitchell is a very efficient runner. You're not going to see it on like the points that he scored, but when he touches the ball, he's 5 yards a carry. When he catches the ball, he's yards after contact. He's a big yak guy. If anything happens to CMC, Elijah Mitchell will be an absolute steal
Oh, he's
in
obviously going to
any
be
form
starting
of,
running
of
back.
fantasy
Yes.
football. The
And
last name, just because I already brought it up, was Baker. All right, because you have three legitimate quarterbacks in a dynasty league, and Baker is not a dude, but he is a backup. He is a bye week player. So you have four startable quarterbacks. I think you have, like I do, capital to trade. Look into it. Look into it. But you were
One,
going to say something
one name,
about
one name
Mitchell.
we Elijah Mitchell. I forgot what I was going to say, but one name that we both haven't mentioned was Dalton Schultz. Obviously, he went off last season for Dallas, but not something that I'm really projecting for this season. I think there is some troubles that are also going on there. Even in preseason, he wasn't even getting the snaps.
I
Um,
think I think Schultz benefited from who's
just
the
just the Cowboys. He benefited from being on the Cowboys.
who's that offensive coordinator? What's his name? The one
Um,
who's
the one
he's
that
with
went to the
Herbert now.
Chargers. Yeah. What did we say? Kellen Moore, I believe his name is.
Moore, yes, Kellen Moore. I think Dalton Schultz benefits from a Kellen Moore offense, and that's why I think Jared Everett will benefit from a Kellen Moore offense.
Yeah.
I have no words for Schultz. If he works out great, I don't think he's gonna.
All right. All right. Well, that's six teams. Just want to go through these six teams real briefly. So, playoff contenders of the six teams that we kind of just said, I would say not even a question. Pat's team is going to be in the playoffs. That's not even a question. He might even win it all. I mean, obviously injuries always get in the way and stuff like that,
Yeah,
but
if there's no injuries.
I think he is an immediate contender, for sure. Um, uh,
After that, I have a question mark at Noah. Can he do it? I have a question mark at Ben. Can he do it? I have a question mark at you. Can you do it? And then me and Sean are rebuilders.
Correct. It's really much the same wavelength that I would honestly kind of approach this as well. So it's really going to be interesting to see how me, Noah, and Ben kind of progress with the season, to be honest, seeing what really needs to be made. Obviously, we still have six other teams to talk about, but we don't have enough time for that today. But um, I think it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see. Obviously, this is the first time a lot of people are doing a dynasty league in this league besides me and you. So a lot of people are going to be understanding if they're going to be contenders or not, or if they're going to have to sell off. So it should be
Yeah,
cool.
we have, in my opinion, we have four contenders coming up in the next six teams. This front half of our chat here, our podcast here, uh, is young and dynamic in comparison to these next six. These next six teams are win now assets, of which some are already scary because of preseason injury. So I think our league is going to have a lot of trades going on this year, even if you don't think that you're someone who's going to be a trader. If you really look at your team, you really take a deep breath, week 5, week 6, and it's not going in your direction, I have a feeling we're going to see lots of phone calls.
Yeah,
Folks,
100%.
this is what you're looking for. Okay? It's right here. Don't let Patrick get it, please.
It's definitely going
Please.
to be interesting to see what happens this season. One name that comes to mind that we haven't touched on is like obviously Jose's team. He awfully win now, so
He has Cup though, right?
he's going to be in the mix of it. Does he have Cup?
I
He
think he
does.
has Cup.
He does have Cup. So
So like
even looking at
he's
this team win
definitely
now,
he's definitely an extremely studly win now team.
100%.
Cup and Kamara are scary.
All right. So yeah, I mean, I think we're gonna leave it at that. Maybe we'll have episode 2 out before the season begins. I am not highly likely on that though, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Um, uh, but yeah, any final words for the people, Austin?
Hey, uh Jay and I are absolute delinquents, so we are glad to bring this to you. Um Podcast number 1 of the FB and F. All right, Farmer
Two
Brand
hour,
and
two
friends.
hour premiere. We were
Literally nuts.
talking.
My wife's mad at me, just so we're all on the same page.
Maybe next time we'll give some time constraints to every team. So we'll
Right
see.
around right around my team, I message Mira, I go, 6 today?
Yeah.
And the only reason I did that is because I got a text, really? So another 6 are
So
coming
we're
soon. It's
yeah.
actually a lot more fun than I thought it would be.
That
So
was it was so natural. I could keep talking about this all day, honestly.
maybe we just keep evolving, bud. Maybe we just keep evolving. But yeah, FB and F, we're out. Catch
Yes.
you next time.
All right. Goodbye, everyone. Everyone have a good, safe Labor Day weekend. Goodbye.